Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out. Uncertainty, self-doubt, stressing about not knowing where to start. In. Plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out. Word art. Sorry, live, laugh, lovers. In. Knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Daugherty Township, Pennsylvania, the battered, shot, and strangled body of a woman is found, and the answer seems simple, but what's uncovered is one of the least secretive murder plots of all time. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Mm-hmm. We are excited, as usual, even though, we're jacked. This is crazy, even though there's murder on the shelf, obviously. That's what we're going for. Still, we are going to find the crazy in it. And this story that we have today is wild, so buckle up for that. Before we get into it, just want to thank everybody for your reviews this week. They help a lot, so thank you very much on whatever platform you're listening to. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Oh, yeah. Tickets to live shows. We have next up is Seattle and Portland.
Right.
Portland's all sold out, but Seattle, I think there's a couple tickets left for the Friday night. And there's a few left for Thursday. So get those tickets, sell it out because they're going fast. And keep checking because people turn tickets in once in a while and one might pop up. So keep checking on that. Check on all the dates. Enjoy. Shut up and give me murder.
Tampa and Orlando specifically, they put tickets back on sale after everybody got to get refunds and such. It was sold out. Now it's not. So buy your fucking tickets. Let's go.
Let's do it here. Patreon.com/crime and sports. My goodness, do we have amazing stuff there this week. So much fun this week. And anybody $5 or above, you get access to everything, both shows, Crime and Sports and Small Town Murders episodes. And it's fun stuff. This week, we have for the Crime and Sports episode, it's all about counterfeit memorabilia and people who make counterfeit memorabilia, and it's like a multi-billion-dollar a year crime thing. Like we've moved the mafia out of things, and that's been replaced with Joe DiMaggio baseballs that were signed last week. So it's insane. You got to listen to this, and there's all sorts of crime involved. It's twisted. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to do something very, very fun. It's kind of like we did an episode on small town festivals that was amazing a while back. This is about weird things that go on at county fairs from around the nation, because we found some weird stuff, and we're going to explore that a little further. So that is going to be hilarious. Check
now
that
you're
out.
Now find out why you're grossed out by the county fair.
Exactly. What kind of weird foods are going on there? What kind of heart-stopping, awful sugar-covered, deep-fried things are going to be served?
If the rides don't kill you, the food will.
Oh, yeah. Rides, weird things that happen, bad concerts. It's all going to be there. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you're going to get a shout-out at the end of the show, where Jimmie will try his hardest to say your name correctly while inevitably mispronouncing it. So that's how that's going to work. And if you just want to make a donation, have good karma, and get your shout-out, go to PayPal and enter our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. That said, it's time for the disclaimer, everybody here.
Sure is.
Disclaimer time. This is a comedy podcast. We're comedians, so
we are.
Jokes are, I assure you, going to happen. We're going to make fun of some things. What we're not going to do, though, what we go out of our way not to do, is we're not going to make fun of the victim or the victim's family.
Why?
Because we're assholes. But we're not scumbags. That's how that works there. So if that sounds good to you, I think we're going to have a good time. Let's face it, there's nothing, funny about somebody being brutally murdered, the act of it. There is something funny about someone going, all right, I got an idea of how I'm going to get away with killing this person. That can be very funny because it's ridiculous. Let's be realistic. So that said, if you think true crime and comedy should never, ever go together, you might not like the show, but you might like the show. Give it a shot, but don't complain later on if you said there was jokes in there. Of course there was. So stories are real, that we assure you. That said, I think it's time to sit back, clear the old lungs, and shout, "Shut up!
Shut up! And give me
murder!" Let's do this. Let's go on a trip, Jimmie. You have the loudest straw ever, by the way, over there. Straw's like, he's squeaking away. Jesus Christ. Like,
I'm a DJ. You didn't know?
You're like a 4-year-old at McDonald's right now.
I just didn't blow bubbles.
Pretty soon we're going to hear the almost empty slurps. Yeah. So let's go on a trip, shall we? Let's do this.
Let's do it.
We are coming from Idaho last week.
Yes.
Where we made some people angry, which I found hilarious.
Evidently, yeah.
Made no more fun of them than we do of anywhere else, but for some reason they were a little more sensitive than other people.
There's a little Blackfoot pride.
And to that we say, get over it. Take it on the chin. Everything we said was true, and shut up about it. So enjoy.
Tell your neighbors not to be dicks.
That said, next up on the chopping block would be Daugherty Township. And this is one thing where I say I refer you back to, I think it's episode 215, Fishkill, New York. That is where I grew up, went to high school and stuff, if you want to hear how I was way worse to that than anywhere that you live. So...
Right.
It's not about that. We make fun of everywhere. It's fun. And have fun.
Fuck it up.
So Daugherty Township, Pennsylvania. This is western Pennsylvania, the farthest western county in Pennsylvania, damn near Ohio over here. It's about 45 minutes to Pittsburgh. Here. It's not too far from our last Pennsylvania episode, as we'll get to here. About 2 hours to Cleveland, 40 minutes to Ross Township, Pennsylvania, which is our last Pennsylvania episode, which was the hot tub killer, if we remember that guy. So that was a crazy-ass episode. Pennsylvania always gives us crazy episodes. Because you think of Pennsylvania and you think of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and there's so much more Pennsylvania than that. It's
holy shit. There's hours in between.
Hours of Pennsylvania, as we discovered when we said, sure, we could just drive from Pittsburgh to Philly.
It's not a big deal.
I found out that takes 3 days somehow.
It's a huge deal.
Takes as long as it takes to get from Arizona to New York. It takes to get from Philly to Pittsburgh to Philly for some reason. I don't know why.
There's no flights in between the two.
No.
What the fuck?
God forbid. 6 hours away, but no flights. Anyway.
Perhaps they want us to know that it's so goddamn vast.
I think they do. They look at our Amish people. Look at them. They have nice furniture. Look at it.
Don't you dare miss your exit.
Look at how they lived. Oh, you're done. Because there's not another one for 4,700 miles. So this is in Beaver County. Of course it is. 10 square miles, this town is. The motto of this town, and they really hit it hard, is it's on everything, is, quote, a miniature Americana.
I'll bet it is.
They want you to think this is like Main Street, USA.
Yeah.
Disneyland, weird shit going on. So
Western Pennsylvania, almost Ohio.
Almost damn near Ohio. Very kind of old school little town. History of this town, and we'll go through this kind of quick because the story is insane and we need all the time we can get for it. Okay. Daugherty Township received its name in honor of Edward Black Daugherty, a local attorney that lived there. So
not the guy from the Cavs.
No, this is a different guy completely. So they had been splitting up this land into different towns before that. And in 1890, people in Pulaski Township, which was nearby, started talking amongst themselves about dividing the township up once again. So they drew up a petition, and they wanted to basically secede from the town, is what they were doing. And the petition was voted down in 1891, but by 1892, they were on board again. They were sick of it. Landowners met.
Takes a little bit of convincing.
You know it. They met once a week to discuss the issue, ending every meeting with a prayer for guidance. So
once a week?
Once a week. That's a lot.
That's often.
Yeah. Volunteers went from farm to farm to acquire 400 signatures, and so they ended up dividing it up. And the attorney who was doing all of this is Daugherty. That's how they got the name here. He probably just put his name on the thing. Like they didn't even know what the name of their town. They all voted for it to be something else. Yeah. Springfield. And he was like, sure, I don't know. They must have mistaked it with my name was on the paperwork. Well, I guess it's Daugherty now. Oh, well. What are we going to do? We mistaked it. They mistaked it. They mistook it.
You should get a loud straw and pull a bubble.
No shit. That was the same. But I'm on 2 hours sleep. What's your excuse? Yeah. It's a difference. But either way, mistaked it is probably not acceptable out of my mouth. I apologize for that. So they prayed the court would hear the petition and grant the division. And they did eventually here. They ordered that the north and northeastern part of the township would be designated as Daugherty Township in honor of Edward B. Daugherty. So there you go. I looked on the town website, okay, has, a miniature Americana displayed at the top.
Right.
And I looked at their historical section. And so I figured they would have some history on this town, right?
Oh, boy.
You would imagine. This is what they have the balls to put on their town website. It says historical document request. Daugherty Township is rich in history and heritage. Unfortunately, the township office is short on its supply of artifacts and historical information regarding the township and its people. It's rich in history and heritage, of which we know none of, even though we live here.
Not even one anecdote?
Nothing. They said the Board of Supervisors of Daugherty Township would like to extend an invitation to anyone who has any historical information regarding the land, buildings, and people of Daugherty Township to share this information with the township office. Please.
We hear there's a lot. Please help us.
It's rich, and someone's got to have something. I've never seen that before, but on their sites, they have something called Daugherty Township Tidbits, and these are little clips from the newspapers about Daugherty Township from like the early 1900s. Yeah. For some reason, they think that's something, so that's their historical thing. Here's one from 1904. It's called Young People Enjoy Outing. This is their history. A sleighing party from Marion Hill visited the area, visited the home of Charles Ferguson, Daugherty Township, last evening. They enjoyed a bonfire and several hours of sledding. This is the history they have of the town.
A sleigh party like in a one horse open sleigh.
Yeah, I would assume that this is they probably made that song up during the whole outing.
Probably.
Here's one from 1906. Horse killed near Pottery. Okay. Apparently a train struck a horse owned by Jake Bowers.
Oh, my God.
And that's what happened there. Here's one. Daugherty Grove Dance from 1907. July 4th, there'll be a dance there in 1907. Bible class enjoys corn roast. Yeah, the corn roast held last Friday at the Rombold Farm in Daugherty was a very enjoyable affair. That's literally in the newspaper.
This is not rich in history.
No. And then this, for some reason, had a terrible fall from 1910.
Oh, all right.
Clark Humes of Daugherty Township sustained serious injuries while repairing barn. Falling a distance of 20 feet and landing on a wheelbarrow, Mr. Humes sustained 4 crushed ribs and a large head wound. No shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Mr. Humes had just gone up on the barn roof when he lost his balance and fell. I guess, wow, that is... Holy shit.
Landed on a wheelbarrow.
That sounds painful.
God.
That sounds very painful. You'd be much better off hitting the ground, I think, on that one. Yeah. But, just flat. At least there's not a wheelbarrow handle stuck in your rib cage. So here's reviews of this town, and they're all pretty good. Nobody hates it here. 4 stars. In my neighborhood, a lot of the houses were built by family members that live in the houses. So each house has its own look and is not set up like housing plans. There's a decent amount of room between each house, and each has a yard. So
I like that.
That's good.
No track homes.
That's no track homes and yards. That's good. 4 stars. People are nice around the area and easy to get along with. That's it.
Okay.
This is a fun one. 3 stars. If I could change where I live, I wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
I like the area here because it has its own unique things to the area, and then we are not far from Pittsburgh at all. I do like the area, but I would like to try something new, so I hope to move one day. Your first sentence and last sentence are completely contradictory. If I could change where I live, I wouldn't, but I would like to get out of here and try something new.
Now give me a few minutes while I talk myself into it.
It's the most confused. Imagine being that person. In 2 sentences, that person's complete head is completely confused. Imagine talking to that guy for 10 minutes. You lose your mind. What are you talking about? Bob, what are you talking about? Are you moving or not, you asshole? You'd be so mad
at him.
I hate
Ford pickup trucks. Dodges are the worst. Chevys are really bad. I kind of like Ford pickup trucks.
I'm going to go get me one of them new F-150s. The hell are you talking about?
What have you done to yourself?
What is wrong with you, Bob?
How did you get this way?
That is wild, man. I don't want to go here just because of that. That's how people are that indecisive.
Hey,
how do I get to that restaurant? Well, you go down Main Street and go over here, but don't go down Main Street. What the hell are you talking about? I'm very confused.
These are the people that get suckered into believing that there's fraud on their Social Security number.
Yeah, really?
So gullible you can convince yourself.
Well, let me go ahead and give you my bank routing number and my Social Security and my mother's maiden name, and hopefully we can clear this up real quick. Jesus Christ!
My first dog in the house I lived on, my first house in my elementary school.
There's a lot of things I'm sure you want to know about me, and I'm willing to tell you anything that can help me. Put it that way.
Everything.
So here's a 3-star. 3 stars. The public services are good around here. The first responders respond quickly. I hope so. It's a small town. There's not enough distance to cover. Get
right
here.
There.
Yeah, it's a half a mile away. Get your ass over here. What are you waiting for? So people in this town, population 2,980. Not that big of a town here. Down 13% since 2000. A couple more males than females, which is obviously a little out of whack, but not by much. Median age here is about 15 years older than normal. It's 52.1. It's kind of an older crowd. Married population's almost 63%. Normally 50-50. So it's, definitely got more of a kind of a family feel. The widow rate, despite the older population, the widow rate is half for some reason. And the older population, higher marriage rate, low widow rate. It makes
They're thriving.
They're thriving. They're doing wonderfully here, I guess. Single with no children, lower than normal as well. So if you're going looking for a party, that might not be your spot. Race of this town, 97.5% white. That's pretty white. to be that close to a major city like Pittsburgh. I mean, that's 0.8% black. 0.8. Jesus Christ. 0.0% Asian. 0.0% Hispanic. That's incredible. That's incredible. That's almost 18% of the population in this country.
Why?
I don't. That sounds on purpose. I'm going to go out there and say it. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but that's a lot. Yeah, that sounds
Asian
wow.
and Mexican people, Spanish, Latin, not a one.
Yeah, but there's like 3 times as many Hispanic as Asian people in the country, and they don't have either. It's very strange.
Fascinating.
51.7% of the people in Daugherty are religious, and most of them, as you might imagine, are going to be Catholic. 29% of the population is Catholic because Catholics are, as we know, the Baptists of the North. And that's obvious. 0.0% Jewish. Wow, not a lot of anything here. This county, Beaver County, the last election, 40% of the people voted Democratic and 58% Republican, 1.6% independent. Unemployment rate here is a little bit high, 6% in the rest of the country. It's about 8.5% here. Household income also a little bit above average. $57,500 is your average. Here it's a little over $70,000, so not too shabby at all. Cost of living, 100 being regular average. Here it's 89. And home cost here, that's low. Home cost, median home cost, $173,000.
Fantastic.
Yeah, $291 in the rest of the country. So
get you a piece of the American dream.
You got higher household income and lower house costs. So that's not too shabby. And maybe that's convinced you, damn it, that you need to move to Daugherty Township, Pennsylvania. In that case, lucky for you, we have the Daugherty Township, Pennsylvania Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here goes for about $975, so lower than the national average, but not as low as the housing costs. 3-bedroom, 1-bath, I found. It's a brick house. There's no square footage for some reason on this house, but from what I found, the measurements and stuff, it's about 1,500 square feet, somewhere in there. Kind of a, small family home. Nice inside, updated, clean, nice. $149,900.
Very decent.
So not bad at all. Good family home. I found this one. Here's a good value. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,053 square feet. So got some room there. It's a brick house. Looks very sturdy. You can huff and puff all you want. It's nice. Needs a little updating, but it's not bad. It's kept very
certainly
nice.
Livable.
So yeah, it's kept very nice too. It's very clean. Some cool stuff feature-wise, some neat stuff. $199,000 for that.
That is awesome.
It's not about half an acre. Not bad at all. Can't beat it. Big yard. Then I found 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,391 square feet. So a little more room to spread out. Again, nice brick house. I would call this house, it's cute. It's got a cute look to it. You look at it and you go, look at that. It's a cute little house there. Has a very nice judgment porch. Very nice porch for judging. Wow. It's got like a nice walk up, nice stone steps, and it's a nice porch. You could really sit back and judge. Detached garage. Very nice. The first line of the real estate listing calls it, quote, a perfect 10 in every way.
Wow.
Oh, boy. And you'd have to get that because it's $269,000 here, which is
a perfect 10 for less than $300,000.
Yeah, it's still reasonable. In the rest of the country, that's lower than the national average house. And
right.
It's a nice house, so not too shabby. Things to do in this town. I found one here, and we're going to make fun of it for this reason, okay? So don't get this shit twisted and be like, oh, you're making fun of a good cause. First of all, we're gonna send a few bucks to this cause for making fun of it. And second of all, we're making fun of it because we know what it is and we've been there. All right.
Oh.
You'll know what I mean when I read it to you.
I'm so excited.
It is the 2018 Daugherty Volunteer Fire Department Comedy and Dinner Show fundraiser.
Oh, no.
Yes. This is terrible. Not for what it causes. It's a great cause. This is terrible if you're one of the comedians. This is a death gig. This is a death gig. They're going to have an auction.
Yeah.
There's going to be little kids there. They're going to tell you to be clean, or they won't, but no one will pay attention because they're eating like a dinner. Like there's getting a banquet dinner while you're performing. The lights are all on so people can see while they walk around. The old people don't trip and fall with their fucking buffet lunch.
And there's somebody there that's in charge of everything that nobody likes, but we're not allowed to say it on stage?
We're not allowed to say it.
That guy's an asshole?
Not allowed to say that. Yeah, they have. I'm telling you, this is the word. You do this strictly because you're like, okay, it's a nice thing to do. We're raising money for the volunteer fire department, and then you get there and you punch your steering wheel the whole way home as people ignore the shit out of you. So it's a death gig, is why we're picking on it. And the comedians, they have them on here. We have they all look like they're from like a radio station. Couple have improv over them, so I assume Pittsburgh Improv, which is a very nice club, by the way.
It's a beautiful one.
Sean Collier is one of them. Mike.
Wait.
I don't know.
Do I know Sean Collier?
I have no idea if you know Sean Collier. How would I know who you know?
It sounds so familiar.
Mike Travers is one of them. Chuck Krieger. Yeah, he says from the improv there. Jeff Conkle and Holly Price. These are your comedians who had a terrible gig and we're
bastards.
Yeah, because comics that too, because it's a charity thing. We don't make money for that. We're just doing it to be nice. And one of your friends who's running the show talked you into it because they're nice, and you're like, I'll help you out, sure. And I want it's a nice cause, and then it's horrible.
Sometimes they do pay, and that's really nice but as you drive home with that money in your pocket, you feel like a piece of shit.
I like when they're like, you can have some of the buffet, and you're like, oh, thanks. That's great.
I'll take some of the yellow and some of the green.
Yeah, I'll do that. There's a roast beef dinner at 6 p.m., showtime at 8 p.m. So people have 2 hours to get full of roast beef and then sit there for another hour and a half and watch these poor comedians try to
stare at you.
$35 a ticket. So we're going to see... there's a website here. I'm going to see how we can donate, but we're going to donate at least a few tickets worth for making fun of them. So not making fun of them, but making fun of what it is and how bad it is for comedians. Next up, the Fall Festival here. It is the times and where it is written in like children handwriting, which is always a bad sign here. There's children's activities, food trucks, live music. Oh boy, I can't beat that. It's a wonderful opportunity for everyone to appreciate the many great activities that the fall season brings our way. This is in New Brighton, which is right next door.
When it's written in crayon like that, it is a guarantee. Come enjoy this sober, please.
Yeah, it's sober.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's sober because you're going to want to punch a kid otherwise because they're going to be all over the place. Live performances by Bobby Thompson, Cody Alushin, and the Red Lines. Oh, and the Project Band. They're going to be playing in the streets, apparently. That's how that works. So you can go to that. And then the other, this is just the most basic-ass thing I've ever heard of, and I had to add it. The Ugly Sweater Wine Fest.
You bastards.
They're like, what do 40-year-old women like? Ugly sweaters and wines? Fuck it. Let's get them in here.
I've seen it's a trend. It's on Instagram.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just pandering, trend pandering. Like, what are popular hashtags right now? That's what the kids call them, right? Hashtags. Okay.
Popular pound signs.
I was just going to say, what are the popular pounds that they're using now? Crime rate in this town, what we're interested in, obviously. Property crime is about half the national average, so very low. And violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is also less than half. So it's a safe kind of, everybody's spread out. Everybody's got a yard. There's nobody's on top of each other.
They're elderly.
Older people spread out. Yep. So, I mean, what do you expect there? What are they going to fight with each other too much? You got to walk all the way over there to fight with somebody. It's a pain in the ass. Why bother? They just do this.
Show up.
And they wave their hand. And then they go back in their house.
And if you just show up on a whim, a lot of times people are happy to see you because it's been a little bit. Yeah, they
got cookies for you. Yeah. So, that said, let's talk about a murder.
I can't wait.
It is, man, talk about an onion to peel. This is like an onion with an artichoke inside of it. Like you get to the middle of the onion and you're like, it's just an artichoke. Shit, now I got to peel all these leaves off and get to this. That's
hot.
Those are pointy shit. And now I got to get to the heart. That's what it is.
Just came out of the oven.
It's an artichoke onion, this episode.
And I got to get all the straw hair off the heart.
Oh,
God damn it.
But it's going to be so delicious when we get to it, much like the heart of the artichoke.
That is the thing about an artichoke. They
delicious.
are so good.
They're so damn good. You know how I roll
worth
with the
every
artichokes.
Drop of sweat.
Oh, yeah. When I make them like this with the steam and the
breadcrumbs.
It takes like 45 minutes to prep a few of them, but it's so worth it. And then an hour to cook them. Anyway, February 12th, we have to go back to 1987.
Hell
yes. Yeah, you know. This is a good year, 87.
Yeah.
For like, there's some good movies, some good comedy comes out then. Yeah. I think this is like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I think, came out in 87.
Was Roxanne 2 years later?
Great Outdoors was around this time.
Oh, okay.
I think Roxanne was 87. Roxanne was 87. Yeah, Steve Martin was.
Movie.
Oh, I love Roxanne so much. Worms, Roxanne. I was afraid of worms. I love the way he says it. I was afraid of worms. Like, that's normal. Sorry. If you haven't seen Roxanne, that's going to not help you at all.
Dig into it because it's fantastic. And give it a little bit because I get that it's a weird premise, but it's a great fucking movie.
It's Cyrano de Bergerac in fucking modern day with Steve Martin.
Oh, my God.
That's what it is.
That was that lady, too. I forget her name. Jean? Is it Jean? I think it's Jean. She died. She's amazing in that movie.
She died. You talking about Shelley Duvall? She's not dead.
No, it's not Shelley Duvall. She is in it also. But the girl, the love interest, is
Daryl Hannah?
the chick from Dick Tracy. What is it?
Daryl Hannah's the love interest.
It is Daryl Hannah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why did I see it? Why did I see it as the girl from Dick Tracy?
I have no idea.
Do you know why? Because I haven't seen it in a while. I have to watch it.
You have to watch it.
It's on.
We'll talk about it after the show. It's streaming because I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
anyway,
great.
It's great stuff. February 12th, 1987, to get away from a fine, whimsical film and get into a landfill in western Pennsylvania.
Landfill.
A landfill, which is, where there's garbage and things like that. This is apparently some kind of private landfill. And this exists in the East Coast. Like, there are places that you can go on the East Coast, if you're out kind of away from a major city a little bit, where people have land where you give them a few $100 and they'll bury your car for you. So your car can be stolen and you can get the insurance for it. And that's like it's all over the place, stuff like that. So people have like a bunch of land and they use it for weird shit here.
That's generational wealth, right? So much land that you can bury shit on it and it doesn't matter.
But it's it's not really worth anything. It's a bunch of woods. You own a shitload of woods. So it's not, I own 700 acres, but it's worth, $200,000, which is fine, but it's not like, oh shit, I'm going to pass that down and all my kids will live off of it type of thing.
Or you can bury shit in it and make more money than the $200,000.
Yeah, it's kind of generational trash, I would call it, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So this landfill here, they make a discovery in this landfill. The neighbor of the landfill, his last name's Gavora. He's a 44-year-old guy. He said that his friend of his told him that he was going to bury the carcass of a dog out in the landfill. Yeah, I have to go dump this dog carcass out there. And someone else he had told he had to go dump a cow out there. So, cow.
Dump and get the story straight.
And a dog. So eventually, this guy took a look at it, and it turns out it wasn't a cow or a dog. It was the body of a 33-year-old man.
Oh, my.
Named Earl T. Spann. So he is shot through the back of the head, sort of execution style.
Yeah.
And he was last seen by his mother on April 4th, 1985. So he's been missing almost 2 years. This guy, which is, 2 years in a landfill. You can imagine what kind of condition he's in. Not great. Pretty goddamn.
Not much of a condition at all. Yeah.
Not much of a condition. Mainly decomposed. Pretty awful here. And they dug in they were looking for him pretty hard because they dug in the frozen ground on February 12th in western Pennsylvania. Wow. So they got to want you bad. There's got to be a reason why they're looking for you. That's just not on a whim. If it's a whim, they go, we'll wait till April. It'll
right.
Yeah, it's a little softer.
They're pretty sure he's there, though, too, is the thing. You don't, go there, maybe he's there.
Yeah, maybe he's there. And you would think this is some 33-year-old guy shot in the back of the head, last seen by his mother. Who the hell knows what's going on about this? But a guy comes forward, this Guevara guy comes forward and starts this ball in motion that leads to something much bigger. This guy was just a domino in a long line of them that was set up to fall here. And this Guevara, he said he contacted the state deputy attorney general, and he relayed to investigators what he was told by another friend of his because he was fearing for his safety, because he knew of a dead body, and then he knew of another thing that was going on, and he didn't want to be next, basically. So he said, I can either try to have these people not kill me and pretend I don't care about any of this, or I can go to the authorities and try to protect myself. So he said that his friend kept calling his house and kept asking him to meet with him. Come meet me somewhere. So if your friend has killed a couple people and you don't know what your relationship with them is, and they keep begging you to meet them for some reason, even though you have no real business to discuss, this is a red flag, I would say. You might be next. So this guy says, I'm going to go to the cops and talk to them, and maybe they'll be interested in this, animal disposal that happened a couple of years ago. Now, this leads us to one of the craziest, most insane murder plots that has nothing to do with Earl Span at all. This he just gets caught up in the mix, and that's where he ends up. He is just kind of, when Heathcliff was fighting in the cartoon and there's that big ball and things would get caught in it, like a garbage can would go in there as they rolled by. That's Earl Span. He just got caught up in this crazy rumble and got spit out into a landfill. It's pretty bad stuff. So we have to go back to the late 70s, early 80s and talk about a married couple. This is Frederick, who goes by Fred and Harleen Mayhew. Harleen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Harleen. Mayhew, Mayhue, obviously. So they run, very exciting, a residential sewer cleaning business, which, that's one of those things where you hear that and you go, oh, that sounds horrible. But
sewer cleaning.
Yeah, that's the kind of weird business that would make money. It's a good business that idiots like me or you never think to try to do, because that doesn't sound, I don't know. How do you do that?
Flush it out every time I do it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but there's probably somebody with somebody with a really huge house somewhere that's like, this is sewer cleaning money right here, as they oversee their empire.
Yeah.
I know somebody who did concrete smoothing in Arizona, and they were wealthy, and I'm like, who thinks to do that? Who's like, there's a lot of concrete out there, and it needs to be smooth.
You see a foundation, and you figure it's just great, but then you pull carpet or whatever, or tile, and that shit's not smooth anymore. Mm-mm. You know what I mean? It's not smooth under there. So then somebody can go through and smooth that and then just glaze it, and you don't have to put any treatment down. It's a floor.
They do, parking lots and shit make a lot of money. So
thousands of dollars.
And they make good money, but they have problems as a couple. And in August of 1981, Harleen has had enough, and she files for divorce. And the divorce takes years and years to go through. It's one of these 5-year divorces.
Oh, contentious.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of assets. They're both tied up in the business. So due to all of this, there's several rounds of litigation within the litigation of the divorce. In terms of business, and they're going to, they have a hearing about this and a hearing about that. It's a lot of shit here. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. Yeah. You need that money a couple days early, or go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
So they result in... Well, there a lot of animosity between the two, but especially on Fred's part. Fred has a lot of animosity toward Harleen, partly because of the divorce and the business thing, because that's going to cause animosity if you're fighting over your business assets. But the other problem is that Harleen has a new boyfriend, which that's fine. I mean, they're getting divorced, whatever. But the boyfriend's a man named Barry Carl, who is, Jesus Christ, who's Fred's former financial advisor.
Oh, no, Harleen.
So the guy who was
my man.
The guy who has had your money is now banging your ex-wife, which is terrible because he knows where you have your money.
Right. He knows everything.
That's the worst combination this guy could ask for is going on here. So,
or the best for Harleen.
For Harleen, phenomenal. For Fred, not great at all. So he's very, very upset about this, and she's less upset because she's fine. So she's doing great. He was very successful too. They were, as a couple, when business was going and they were together, it was very successful. He flew planes. He knew he had a pilot's license. He would hang glide and go scuba diving and shit like that. And if you know anything about Western Pennsylvania, none of these activities except for flying a plane are going to happen there. So this is all, no one's going scuba diving.
This guy got a pilot's license to go do fun shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. So he likes to go to exotic places and do fun things and, lives a high-flying lifestyle. And he, during the divorce, he just watches this it's all kind of falling away. He's got lawyer bills. He's got to give her, he's got to split things with her. She was involved in the business as much as he was. So it's a lot here. They have about $1 million worth of shit they're fighting over. And,
in the 70s and 80s.
And this is early 80s we're talking when the divorce goes down in 81. Problem is, too, that Mayhew owes the IRS this is Fred, owes the IRS about $400,000.
Oh, no.
In unpaid taxes from 1975 to 1981. So that was an issue. That was that was one of the reasons why she was mad at him, was that he wasn't paying his taxes. He was just spending money. They owned, it was called E.L. Mayhew and Sons. They owned that company, and also Amico Environmental Services. And they would clean residential, commercial, and industrial pipes and septic tanks.
Wow.
They are the shit sweepers.
My God.
That is unglamorous work that makes good money.
The worst.
That's what that is. Yeah. There's always going to be shit, and it's always going to clog something up. That's what that's their.
Where do you take that after you cleaned it?
That's a cynical company, man. You know what they're always going to be? Shit. Yeah. You know what shit's always going to do? Clog other shit up. There's always going to be us to suck that shit right out of there.
And go put it somewhere else.
Go put it somewhere else. That's us, buddy. Hey, good for you. So there's some issue here. Now, one of the operations, or one of the hearings during this whole divorce, is that that he withdrew about $60,000 from the business accounts of E.L. Mayhew and Son and deposited that sum in an account in his own name.
I can't do that.
So, no, he just took it out, and this was while the divorce was going on and all that sort of shit.
If it started, you can't do that.
Yeah, he's just taking the money and keeping it for himself, and he took checks and other business records from the company E.L. Mayhew and Son, and that made Harleen file a petition for divorce against him originally, because he was doing this behind her back. Once they separated, he also operated a different company under the Amayo Co. Environmental Services, and he's trying to say that she doesn't have a right to that because he's got another partner, but he started it while he was with her, so it's all. If
it's in your name, it's in our name.
It's
a dick.
Yeah, and they said that they ended up saying that he had some kind of, basically he was doing some kind of scam. They said there was a fictitious name of the business that was registered solely in his name, and the other guy that he said was his partner wasn't empowered to sign checks for the partnership. There was no partnership tax return filed, as he had paperwork here and there, and everything wasn't on the up and up the way he was doing it.
He's trying to make money and do it under the radar.
And trying to kind of move money here and there. And I'm not going to get into every little ticky-tack details of running an environmental sewage cleaning business, because we're not going to do that.
Tell me you're not an accountant, James?
No. He leased vehicles under this other company's to this other company under the name of the company he had with his wife and shit like that, like put her in debt too and stuff like that. So because of this, the judge ends up finding him in contempt of court for doing this, and he ends up serving 254 days in the Beaver County Jail on contempt of court.
God.
Involving the proceeding. So for stealing that money while they were in the middle of a divorce too and doing all that shady shit, he literally gets almost a year in the county jail.
Unbelievable.
He spends most of 1985 in the pokey. So there you go.
Ouch.
Yeah. His lifestyle has changed significantly. We'll put it that way. And in his mind, it's all that damn Harleen's fault and then my financial advisor, and he's just banging away on her and spending all this money, and they have everything, and I'm in county jail, and he's getting more mad and more mad.
8 months and my CPA is hammering my ex-wife.
Yeah, that's terrible. And this guy needs to take a deep breath and go air mattress shopping. That's what he needs to do. Deep breath.
Put the money into a pile, cut it in half, say goodbye to it. And go figure it out.
Studio apartment, start over.
You build businesses, you can rebuild them.
Do it again, because it's over. So he was, Harleen was residing at the home that used to be the family home. Yeah. It's an 18-acre horse farm in Daugherty Township.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful home, nice residence.
Having a great time.
That's on Sunflower Road.
Oh, best divorce of her life.
So nice. She's fucking riding around on horses. It's a horse farm. Her and his financial accountant are literally trotting through the sunset with wind in their hair. This is ridiculous.
On Sunflower Road.
On Sunflower Road. This is
sun
silly.
And flowers.
Oh. You would see it through a Vaseline lens, you know, like it doesn't even need to be filmed that way. It's so perfect. It's idyllic.
It's so sepia.
It really is. And Barry Carl, he stayed there a lot, you know, all the time. And due to it doesn't come out till the divorce, that there was some abuse in the Mayhew relationship between Fred and Harleen. So due to that, she has a court order prohibiting Fred from entering the horse property on Sunflower. So he's not allowed there. He is living in a condo in another part of Beaver County.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's starting over. That's fine.
Yeah.
So December 15th, 1986 comes around, okay? And Harleen leaves that night. She is at her daughter's birthday party. So daughter's birthday and party, and I think it's an adult daughter because she's 50 years old, and the party ends at like 10:45 p.m. And daughter doesn't live with them. Yeah.
This is a party.
It's a party. So she leaves about 10:45 p.m. from her daughter's house, adult daughter, and she was driving a 1984 Oldsmobile, which is still pretty new at this point, only 2 years old, that belongs to Barry Carl, her boyfriend. Oh. I had an 85 Oldsmobile. But I had it in the 90s.
In the late 90s.
Not great then, but
almost a 20-year-old Oldsmobile.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. It was nice. It was made for
that is
very old people.
Mobile at that point.
It would like bounce when you drove, you know, and had that nice
pillow. Those are called worn out shocks.
The cushy seats. Yeah, I got it for like $150. It wasn't nice, Jimmie. I had no money in high school. Talking about
the road's not bouncing, but the car is.
The cars, it was bad. Eventually, like something in the steering thing broke, and when you'd go to turn, the wheel wouldn't turn. So if you were coming up on a turn, you'd be like, "Oh God, I'm going to drive straight off the road into a tree," and then it would just go pop, and it would pop, and it was dangerous. I eventually had to stop driving it when I almost crashed a few times because the steering wouldn't work anymore.
Where the fuck is your dad?
Well, that's what he was
Dad,
like.
My car doesn't work.
You can't drive that anymore. That's what he said, and then. I ended up with that pickup truck we discussed, and then a lady T-boned me really hard and twisted it and almost killed me.
You didn't do great with cars for a little bit.
No, I had a tough time there growing up. So, Fred called the daughter there, the house at about 9:00. He wasn't at the party. He called the party. He did a call-in. You know, he did like a Zoom, an 85 Zoom, which is just I call on the house phone. I'm going to attend remotely. Ring, ring, happy birthday. That was attending remotely in 1986. So he attends remotely, and he is told by Debbie that, you know, Mom's here too. So Fred says, "Oh, okay, your mother's there." He says, "Well, I'm at my parents' house processing a deer, so I'm not going to be able to make it."
Ew.
You know, it's what you do on your daughter's birthday party. You process deer. That's what I usually do.
That's a gross way of saying slaughtering this.
Yeah, I'm going to, quote, process this deer, and I'm unable to attend your soiree tonight. I'm sorry. So Barry waits for Harleen to come home. She's got his car and everything else. He's waiting for her. About 1:30 in the morning, he calls again to say, "Hey, you know, has she left yet? Like, what's going on here? It's 1:30. She hasn't come home here. You guys still partying?" And you know, she's not there. So he's like, "Okay, that's weird." He says the trip, because Debbie's house was in New Galilee, that's the daughter, to her house on Sunflower Road took about 25-30 minutes.
Yeah.
She left at 9:45 or 10:45.
Right.
It's 1:30 in the morning. What's going on here?
That's much more.
Yeah. So Debbie's husband Jeff and Barry, Harleen's boyfriend, decide to drive along the route that you would normally take from one house to the other, in case maybe her car broke down, maybe she's in an accident. She could be, maybe her steering went out and she has one of those Oldsmobiles. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's a model problem. This is a Cutlass Sierra. Was that your problem? It just didn't work. So they looked all around. They no broken down Oldsmobile, not wrapped around a tree.
Okay.
Nothing there. Not at all. So later on that evening, they have kind of nowhere else to search. They call the state police at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to do. She disappeared into thin air. They call the state police. Now,
Oldsmobile.
Yeah, and the state police at this point, all they can do is put out a report, write a report and put out a thing, keep an eye out for this and, ask her what's up. I don't know if he would have to report the car like stolen for them to actually look for her right now because she's just an adult that's not around. She could she could be doing anything. She could have went to the casino. Who the hell knows?
And even then, they don't necessarily go look for the car. They just put a little tag in the system, and then if you put those numbers in, then that car pops up that something's wrong.
If you happen to be behind an Oldsmobile, run the tag. See if it's this one.
There you go.
That's all. So now we go to Findlay, Pennsylvania, which is 25 miles away or so from Daugherty Township, from her Sunflower Road horse farm. Now, it's about 2:45 a.m., There's a guy named David Kisow, Kisow. Kisow? David arrives at his home. This is in Allegheny County, so it's over the county line here. He's got also Donald Meerdo with him, Meerdo. They had been Christmas shopping that night. Isn't that nice? Because we're in December. It's December 16th.
Yep.
That's right around now. Weird, huh?
It's a little early for dads to be shopping, but all right.
Yeah, isn't that funny how? Yeah, December 16th. Jesus Christ, he must be in trouble.
Yeah.
So they'd been Christmas shopping, and after that, this is what dads do, though, is they were Christmas shopping and then stopped at a bar afterwards.
You betcha.
They were like, that was terrible. Jesus Christ. They got bags all around the stools and shit. Just pounding beers. For Christ's sake. It's like the Christmas tree farm.
And then
we went to a Christmas tree farm with Sarah and Jimmie and myself and my brother and his family.
His wife,
and we were watching people fighting while they were joyously carrying this wonderfully freshly cut Christmas tree that's like beautiful, and they're just like,
cut the shit
you
down.
grow up. No, you grow up. They're arguing, husbands and wives. We say it should be called Angry Fathers Christmas Tree Farms. That's what it should be called, because it's just angry fathers with like a tree under one hand and like a kid under the other arm holding a saw also. Unsafely, like, that's fucking
supposed to be a memory that we all just made.
Take the picture, all right? Let's go. We couldn't just stop at the grocery store parking lot and pick one up, huh? Okay.
I was having a great time.
Oh, me too.
Chiming
laughing
into their other conversations.
I was cracking up laughing at them. I would be laughing my ass off at these people arguing over Christmas trees.
I said, "Oh, you guys made a memory." The dad says, "There better be something strong in that to drink." Talking about the coffee.
Yeah. That was wonderful. Oh, man. So these two guys, Christmas shopping, stopped at a bar. Shopping closes, 9, 10 o'clock here? It's 2:45 in the morning. So they spent probably more time at the bar than they did shopping.
Probably.
So upon their arrival at the house, they noticed a car that's not anybody's car that they know.
It's not ours?
Not our car, backed against his garage, this David Kisow. The keys are in the ignition. It's an Oldsmobile.
Oh.
They go, okay. They remove the keys from the ignition. They look around the car. They look under it. They look, back seat. They look under the seats. There's nothing there. They're like, I don't understand what's going on here. Who just leaves a car with the keys in the ignition in the middle of the night in my driveway?
Right. I've heard of dumping cars, but not on somebody's driveway.
Backed in nicely against the garage, like with the keys in the ignition. It's very strange. So they eventually, when they run out of ideas, they pop the trunk. Like, fuck it, man. Pop the trunk, see if there's any, identification in there or something. So they pop the trunk and they open the trunk, and what they find is horrific. Oh, no. They find a badly beaten, battered, and shot body of a woman in there. Yeah. And it is Harleen Mayhew.
Oh, no.
What has been done to her is been killed 3 times over. We'll explain in a second, but absolutely decimated here. Upon making the discovery, Meerdo, the second guy there, he said, "Holy shit, this is a horribly murdered, bloody body of a woman. We should call the police right now." Clearly, that seems like they're, oh my God, that's your immediate reaction.
Correct reaction.
Kisow, though, grabs his arm, says, "Not so fast."
Oh. Not
so fast. He says, "Hold on here. We can't call the cops. Can't do that." Then he said to this Meerdo guy, quote, "If I don't get rid of the car, I'm going to be a dead man."
What?
This Myrto's holding like Macy's and KB Toys bags. You know what I mean? Like, the hell are you talking about? I'm domestic beer drunk holding a bunch of fucking Christmas presents. And I didn't expect any of this shit to happen. And now I got to like, what?
I'm listening to you talk about you're a dead man. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Now you're like Sammy the Bull Gravano over here. What is happening? What are we doing? So he said, seriously, don't call the cops. And Myrto was like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I won't call the cops. And he went right inside and called the cops. He's like,
I'm just going to go inside and pee real quick.
Very normal guy is what this is. This is fucked. I'm calling the fucking cops. This is crazy. The call comes in at 2:59 a.m. So it took him, like, you figure they found the car. That probably took 6-7 minutes. It took him less than 10 minutes to call the cops from Keesau going, I'll be a dead man if the cops are involved.
Yeah.
Not giving a shit. So, they end up calling the cops, like we said, and it's Barry's car that Harleen was driving. It's Harleen in the car. It's the newspaper account of it's very funny too. Not funny, obviously, for obvious reasons, but the way they initially report it is like these guys were like horrified and immediately called the cops. They said, quote, the two men opened the trunk, saw what was in it, and immediately called Findlay police.
Well, that was a conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit different here. Yeah. Barry was her, that's her friend, it's her car, they say. Blood was found in the driveway also of, we'll find out later when police arrive, there's a blood found all over the place. Now, this is in Allegheny County, but they say that they're also going to hand it over to the Daugherty Township police because that's where she's from, and they think that's where it started, as we'll talk about that there. Now, she's 50 years old, by the way, Harleen. Now, homicide detectives with the Allegheny County Police show up here. Coroner's office is in here. This is a huge deal. This is this looks like some kind of crazy hit. All
points bulletin.
Oh yeah, this is wild. 3:00 in the morning, some 50-year-old lady. She's not like somebody like, oh yeah, well we knew it was just a matter of time before we'd find him in the trunk of a car, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like that shit. So they examine the trunk of the car, they observe the body, they say she's been severely beaten in the face. The face is pointing toward the trunk opening and her face is just destroyed. Her head doesn't look like it's the right shape anymore.
Really?
Put it that way. Her head's partially wrapped in a white scarf, which appears to have a bullet hole in it. But due to the victim's extensive facial injuries, they were unable to determine if she was shot just by looking at her. That's how badly her face was beaten. 2 spent .25 caliber shell casings were found beside the vehicle. Mm-hmm. So outside the vehicle. Huh? Yeah. So the shots happened there, clearly. That's where the shell casings are, unless they dropped them there and said, oh, now this is the new scene. There's that. Another thing they find here is a bloody, very, very bloody baseball bat that is positioned between Harleen's legs as well.
Oh, my God.
Seems to be positioned in a very specific way, to put it mildly.
Sure.
They make the identification because they find her driver's license on her. The other thing they find that's crazy is there is a very, very neatly folded up and not bloody is the very key thing. So it didn't just fall there off of her or something. A very neatly folded up dollar bill is found on top of her body, like right in the middle of her chest, just sitting there very nicely. So that looks...
What the fuck, man?
That
this
definitely...
is like a mob hit message.
It's with a 50-year-old lady riding horses. It's this is
dangerous chick, man.
She's dangerous. We don't know what she's into. The autopsy reveals, and this is fucking insane, that she was struck at least 5 times in the head with a baseball bat. Had her throat crushed, first manually, then by a metal window well.
What?
So like over a window, like hanging somebody's head over a window and pushing like down on it.
Foot on the back of her head or something?
Jesus. Yeah, which the window well finally broke before she died. She's tough, Harleen.
No shit.
Finally, after both attempts that would kill a lot of people, being bashed till your skull is busted apart and choked till a metal window frame broke, finally shot twice in the head at close range. Her skull was broken in a lot of places.
Oh, I'm sure.
5 deep lacerations in the skull and a lot of hemorrhaging and things like that. These were consistent with blows from the baseball bat, which was found bloody with her, matter on it between her legs there. Her neck bone was also fractured, which is the indication of strangulation. And it shows that she'd been shot between the eyes and in the left temple.
Just so personal.
Those are two very finite. I am going for between the eyes. Those are both kill shots, is what I'm saying. And they went and did both here. They found 2 .25 caliber bullets in her skull, or in her head, matching the casings down there. They said the minimal hemorrhaging along the tracks of these bullets indicated she'd still been alive when she was shot. So she just wouldn't die. She just wouldn't die. They said cause of death, trauma to the head, whether it be gunshot or, the brain being beaten in. He was of the opinion that it was a beating first, then the strangling, then the shooting, based on the way the injuries go.
Somebody watched too much TV and thought those were just going to do it.
Easy. Yeah, I'll just beat her with a baseball bat and she'll die. Oh, no. Well, I'll just strangle her and she'll die. Oh, shit. And then, but 2 shots to temple and the forehead, though, that'll actually do it. That'll do it every time. So after they find her body, they go to her house on Sunflower Road. Let's go to the horse farm and see if we can find anything there. Right away, they get out of the car, walk up, big patches of blood in the driveway near the entrance of the garage.
Good clues.
So, whoa, hey, look at that. Didn't have to look too far for that shit. The blood had been covered with gravel and leaves.
So somebody kicked some shit over it?
In an attempt to conceal it, but it just looked like a pile of gravel and leaves in your driveway, which is not a normal place that you have piles of debris, usually, being that you drive on it a lot. Usually you keep your driveway pretty clear. So all it did was just draw attention to it. You're like, hey, what's up with those piles of leaves and gravel? Oh, look, there's big blood stains under that. Look at that.
What are those headstones doing in that field right there? I wonder if that's a cemetery.
That's what it is. Yeah, I wonder. Oh, they fucking buried someone in here. There's a body under here. I'm serious. It's about 6 feet down. It's in a box. It's fucking crazy. Come on over.
Yeah.
It's bonkers. So it's covered there. In addition, they find 2 buttons from her coat there and one of her gold earrings near one of the house's window wells.
Wow, she really struggled.
So yeah, they're starting, as they put it together, they think that she was beaten and strangled here, driven to this location in the trunk. They pop the trunk. Shot. She's still alive.
Wow, like
so
Goodfellas.
Yep, it's Billy Batts is in the back seat there, so they dump 2 in her head and then fold a dollar bill and walk away here. So they originally believed she was killed in her home, but now they think that obviously those gunshots were over there with the shell casings there, and the determination that she was still alive. So it's nuts. So David Kissow, what is his deal? Why did he not want to call the cops?
Scared of the cops, David.
So they interview him initially, and he initially just denies any knowledge of anything, which obviously is ridiculous because they talk to his friend who... His friend doesn't give a shit. His friend's like, we found a body. It was fucked up. Then he said this. That was messed up too. Like... His friend...
So I had to get away from this guy and call the cops.
Yeah, his friend's living the life of someone who truly has nothing to do with this shit, is what he's talking about. Like, this is exactly what happened. I didn't do it. So he said that he denied anything, and then there was a phone conversation. So they didn't arrest him at first. They didn't know they have no proof of anything with him other than it was in his driveway, but he definitely didn't do it because he was at a bar and Christmas shopping for the last 8 hours. So, and with witnesses. So they have to let him go. And then finally on December 21st, 1986, Kissow started fearing for his life. And that was after a phone conversation with Fred Mayhew. He said he started fearing for his life, and then he contacted police and said, all right, I'll cooperate. I know more than I said I know. So after the murder, he actually went to the funeral home during the wake to pay his respects and everything.
The guy that just found the body?
I found the body, yeah. I felt terrible finding this body here. You know how that goes. This body from 30 miles away that
Right.
Who knows? That's where he ran into Fred, and he apologized to Fred for what has happened. He said, "I'm sorry I had to call the cops, but I had to do it. My friend, he doesn't know anything, and he found it, and he went and called the cops. It just had to happen." So Fred didn't say anything to him, Fred Mayhew. He's like, "All right, well, we'll talk about it later." And a few days later, he receives a phone call from Fred, and he said that Kissow said that he could hear from the sounds of Fred's voice that he was angry.
He's mad at him.
Yeah, he couldn't exactly blow up at him at his wife's funeral. That would have gone over.
Yeah.
That looks bad. So Fred said, "I need to talk to you. We got to meet up." It's one of those again. So Kissow said, "Sure, yeah, I'll meet you." And instead he went right to the police and said, "Yeah, listen, here's what happened. I know this guy, okay? I know Fred Mayhew. He was a close friend of my dad's. My dad died in 1978. And so I've known him for years and years and years." He said since 81, Kissow saying that he'd been traveling to Colorado to do construction work out there in the summer months and then comes back to Pennsylvania December through April. Mm-hmm. So that's what he does. He said upon his return in 1981 to the Pennsylvania area that Fred had approached him and asked him if he would chop up a car for him.
Okay.
It's like, you know anything about that? Getting rid of a car, chopping it up, kind of like I said, burying it. This is the other way to do it. Make it into parts that are no longer a car. Kissow said, "Shit, yeah, no problem. I got that. I'm a migrant construction worker. I will absolutely chop up a car." Are you fucking kidding me? I try.
Anybody though, James, that can tear apart a car.
Oh God,
that's a guy that works on shit.
That's what I mean. He's got tools.
Amazing. Yeah.
If he doesn't know someone, he'll just do it himself. He's got a bunch of tools. He'll figure it out. I got saws and shit.
I'll run that motherfucker over.
I will figure it out. It's gonna get done. So he's like, "Yeah, absolutely, I can do that. No problem." He said, "All right, well, this favor is going to be payment for the proceeds of a cocaine sale made by Kissow for Fred in 1980. Okay. Now Kissow told Fred that the coke got stolen from his house. And so I got shit out of luck. Somebody jacked me.
None of it.
Somebody jacked me. So basically this is Fred going, "Okay, well, tell you what, now we're even. You get rid of my car, and then we'll be even on the coke fuck over." So that's how that works. So this is all news to people. They're like, "Wait, Fred Mayhew does coke, the sewer guy?" Like, these are all a bunch of upstanding people, and then there's layers where there's a layer of quote unquote upstanding people, and then they have like these underlings like Kissow who are like, "I'll chop the car up for you and move coke for you, and make sure you don't get in trouble." So Kissow said that prior to this, there'd been other opportunities presented to him to even up the score, basically to repay it. One was to rough up Barry Carl, he said, his wife's boyfriend and his former financial advisor. And also that he just said, "No, I don't want to do that." And he said, "You don't want to beat the guy up? Okay. I got another one for you. Take this dynamite, go blow somebody up, okay? Can you do that?" It's like, didn't even want to beat the guy up. What are you talking about? I'm going to blow somebody up now?
Dynamite?
That's way worse.
Yeah.
He thought that would be better. Like, here's some dynamite, right? It's less personal.
Go put this in this guy's pocket for me.
Yeah, go throw this in his coat pocket. So he said that Kissow said that when he came back to Pennsylvania in 82, then that's when it turned into, "Would you mind chopping up this car?" Now it's different. Now it's, "Would you mind chopping up a car if it had a body in it?" Do you think you think he could chop it up then? Which is a way harder thing to get rid of. Yeah, that's way different.
It's fascinating that he was approached with, "Take care of this car and take it apart for me." And then he comes home from shopping. He sees a car that he doesn't know anything about. It doesn't register in his head. Maybe that's the car he wants me to take apart.
That was 3 years ago. This is happening in 82.
Shit, yeah.
The driveway is December, Christmas season of 85. So it was years ago.
I don't remember. No.
This has been good. Yeah, you'd be like, "Oh, weird car."
Refresh my memory. Oh, with a body in the trunk. Now I remember.
Yeah, so he said, I guess, but, it would depend on the circumstances or that sort of shit. He's trying to stall him and, keep blow him off, basically. So Then this Kissow says that Fred repeated this request every time Kissow would come back for the winter, from 82 to 85.
Yeah.
Every time. So he got back in September, and Fred paid him a visit, goes to Kissow's house, and asked him if he thought about this at all. He said, had you thought about if you chop up a car with a body in it? Kissow said he was in a hurry and he took off quick. So he's just been stalling for like 4 years now. He said that he next heard from Fred a few weeks later when Fred called and told him that he shouldn't be surprised if he found a car in his driveway.
Yeah.
So that's how he knew. That's why he said, if I don't get rid of this car, I'm a dead man, because this has been the thing that he's been talking about for 4 years.
Right.
Would you chop up a car with a body in it? So he said that's when he found the car, and that's how that worked. That was his involvement in it. So the police talked to Fred. Obviously, he's interviewed right away. The morning of the 16th, like, who would want this person dead? Oh, there's still divorce proceedings going on where they're fighting over $1 million. Let's talk to him. Like,
and this guy's already shady as fuck.
And he's shady as fuck. They find her license at like 3:15 in the morning and know it's her. They're talking to him by 6. Like, it's instant. She's not even processed yet and back at the morgue, and they're already talking to him. So he says, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I was processing a deer until 9:30. Then I went home, sat here alone, went to sleep. What do you want from me? You got that after that post deer glow going on. You want to just go home and take a nice nap.
Basket playing God for the evening.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. So Frederick Mayhew's sister, Fred's sister, also says he was home watching TV on that night. I don't know what you're talking about there. His other sister says that he played Scrabble with her and went out to dinner with the family on another day too, which we'll talk about. So I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy, because they ask him also, hey, where were you on the day that Earl Spann was buried? And then he's like, I was out with the family and playing Scrabble. So He's got alibis like crazy. Joan Mayhew, who's his sister, testified that she called her brother at his condo at the Beaver Lakes Country Club in Aliquippa at about 12:30 p.m. and found him at home. She said, I think he had fallen asleep in his chair because he was grumpy. They said, yeah. He said that then they talked to somebody else that contradicts this whole thing. That is a guy Stephen Guevara. Remember the guy who turned in Earl Spann? He says that he was talking to former Rochester commissioner, it's an elected commissioner of the town of Rochester, named James Harden. Now, obviously, it's with an I, but I am picturing a guy with a big beard dribbling a basketball very well.
Beard.
So
how great he's going to do.
He's actually a fat white guy with a mustache, but picture James Harden because it'll be easier to differentiate people in the story. So there's a lot of people who are going to pop up. So he says that James Harden talked to him, Guevara does, in the driveway while Fred Mayhew beat Harleen with a baseball bat outside of her home at about 11:30.
Oh, my God.
Which is right about when she would have got home. He said he saw that. He saw her try to strangle his wife and then throw her in the trunk and leave.
So he saw the whole thing.
He saw the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But her brother, or his sister, though, says no way. Fred Mayhew's sister, Sandra, says that not true at all. We were playing Scrabble the one night, watching TV the other night. I don't know what you're talking about. This is all bullshit. That's literally what it is. And Spann, by the way, was a contractor and was also a suspected arsonist in another case. And the whole thing that they're thinking is that he might have been hired to kill someone but failed to do the job, so he was killed himself. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmie had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this hero bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With hero bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. Yeah. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. Yeah. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Okay. Who the hell is James Harden? Okay.
I'd love to know.
Town of Rochester Township elected commissioner and former police officer.
Great guy.
So a very upstanding fella there. They believe that Harden, who's a very close friend of Fred Mayhew, acted as the lookout, talking to the neighbor while Fred Mayhew tried to kill his wife.
Yeah.
That's what he had to do. They did it together. They were a team in this aspect here. They two women who were witnesses, nearby neighbors, picked out James Harden in a mugshot lineup and identified him as the man they saw sitting in a car near Harlene's house 5 days before she was fatally shot. Oh. So just kind of stalking the house and looking at shit. It's Patricia Bradley and Brenda Spear. They testified at a hearing about the whole thing, saying that that's what they saw. They saw him and they identified his car, the whole deal. I mean, it was him there. Their sisters, they said they were driving to their mother's house on the morning of December 11th, and they passed a blue late model sedan near the Mayhew's property there. And they showed them 8 men's pictures, and they both independently picked out Harden's picture and the car. So I think they probably, I think they probably did a good job there.
Got it right.
They said that it makes it look like Harden was probably stalking Harlene, and that's not good for him. Very bad evidence here. So early in the afternoon of the 16th, this is the day, that they found the body that night. Right. The Rochester Township Police Department chief, Charles Zerillo, he heard of the murder of Harlene and went over to James Harden's house because James is the elected police public safety commissioner for Rochester Township.
He should certainly know about this.
He does, and he's a very good friend of Fred's, and everybody knows that because this is all very small areas here. Zerillo arrives at the house. He said that Harden was speaking with Steve Guevara, who is, as we know, him. He's been popped up a couple times. He said he stopped talking to Guevara, went over to Zerillo, the cop, and said that he just learned about the murder from Guevara. He said he would probably become involved in the investigation because he had been with Fred the previous evening. Like, I was with him, so I might be his alibi here. Yeah. Meanwhile, Fred told them he processed a deer, went home by himself.
By himself.
And his sister said he was at our house. So the whole
crabby in a chair.
Yeah, it's crabby in a chair. So it's pretty goddamn interesting. So Hardin, he says that Fred called him the evening of the 15th to ask for a ride home. He said he picked him up, took him home, stayed with him till about 12:30 a.m. He said they watched Monday Night Football and had a few beers.
All right.
Why not? He then relayed told him that. That's what he did. A few days later, Hardin told this same cop that Harleen had died at 2 a.m., and that had not been released to the public at all. He shouldn't have known any kind of time or death or anything like that. So Zerillo says this cop ends up relaying this to the homicide detectives. Hey, this guy, pretty sure of time of death when he shouldn't be.
That was a bit too much.
That was a little too much here. That's a little weird. You might want to look into that. So they end up they arranged an interview with Hardin. This is on the evening of December 16th, so right then. Hardin tells the troopers that on the 15th, he was babysitting till 10 p.m., drove Mayhew home, watched TV. He was home by 1 o'clock in the morning. So they said they did note that Hardin was nervous throughout the interview, and they knew that his statement was inconsistent with Fred Mayhew's, but they didn't confront him with that yet. They wanted to hold off on that. So then they learn that another officer in the Rochester Township Police, after concluding an investigation with the Game Commission on the evening of the 15th, returned to the police station. He said that when he arrived at the station between 8:30 and 8:45 on the 15th, this is while she's still at the daughter's party, Hardin was there and announced to this cop that he was expecting a visitor. And when the visitor arrived, Hardin wanted the cop to go away so they could talk.
Yeah.
25 minutes later, Fred walked into the police station, night of the 15th. This cop said that he knew Fred from a prior occasion and just said hello. He said that the cop said he left the station about 5 minutes later, per James Hardin's request. When he returned to the station after 11, everybody was gone. He said this cop said next time he saw Hardin 2 days later, they talked at the police station. Hardin told this cop that he had been at Fred's house the night of the 15th watching football and that Fred was using him as an alibi. And then Hardin asked him if he remembered Hardin's telling him that night that they were going to watch football, which he said that he doesn't remember that at all, but that's fine. He just said that I went outside, then I came back and everybody was gone. He's like, remember that alibi I gave you for that night that we were watching? Remember? We said we were going to go watch football?
Remember the whole reason that you didn't kill your wife?
They could say they were going cow tipping. It doesn't matter what they tell him what they're going to do. They went and killed that dude's wife after that. So they end up arresting Hardin later on. They're going to arrest him on February 6th for all of his stories. But when they walk into his house to arrest him, this is after all these interviews, 2 months have gone by, they say, you're under arrest for homicide. And he says, quote, which one is this for?
Oh, no.
That's not what you want to hear. Well, you want to hear it if you're a homicide detective. You're like, oh, we're going to clear some shit up here. But that's not what his lawyer wants him to say when he gets arrested for homicide. Quote, which one is this for?
Never get clarity on a specific murder.
Good God.
Like, I guess we'll go talk about this.
They probably would have told you.
Eventually. They'll let you know.
He then said, I imagine it's for Mrs. Mayhew, huh? So that's a bad sign, too, because they're like, hey, this guy's fucking clairvoyant over here. So, Hardin, who is a former constable and Rochester Township police officer, township commissioner. Then he said nothing while they were driving him. When they were alone in the hallway of a magistrate's office, Hardin said, quote, I didn't beat her with a baseball bat and I didn't shoot her. They can only get me for conspiracy. He just blurts this out to cops that are fucking waiting outside a judge's office to arraign him.
I didn't do anything of the information that only the guy that did it knows.
Nope. What the murder weapon is, I didn't do any of that stuff, just the conspiracy. So that's pretty fucking funny. Later on, his lawyer is going to say that while making small talk in the car on the way to the office, the officers had elicited statements from him, and they didn't ask him any direct questions, but their small talk induced him into blurting out his fucking murder conspiracy. That's pretty good small talk. I don't know about you, but
that is solid.
You're a good small talker. Have you ever had people just burst out with murder conspiracies?
I can lead people down the old, what do you do? Are you married? How many kids you got? I can get down that path pretty quickly.
This is mighty powerful small talk here.
This is impressive.
They must have really talked about the weather and known what was going to happen and known what the cloud formations were and everything. This is some serious small talk. Holy shit. Your daughter's going to what school now?
Right.
Oh, it tells me everything.
Staying in the dorms. Get out.
Wow. Good for her. That's going to be a fun experience for her.
How long was this
now?
ride? How long does it take to get there? That's so great.
No shit. That's oh my God. So he said that they end up saying that the reason this is because the detective said, quote, I hope you remember the last 3 words your wife spoke to you on your way out the door. And that's because he was like trying to fuck with him. Yeah. And he said, then the detective said, I thought we had Fred Mayhew good until we got you. We've got you really good.
Oh, boy.
This is all like kind of shit talking non sequiturs, basically.
Did she say, I love you?
I think she said, I love you. Yeah.
Or see you later.
See you later. Bye, asshole. Those are 2 separate words. Bye, fuckhead. Pick up milk. Yeah. So they said that this is going to end up going to Beaver County. They kind of fight over jurisdiction for a minute here. Fred finally gets arrested here, December 22nd, 86. So it only took like 4 days, 6 days for the arrest to happen. But it's not just Hardin, because Hardin really hasn't. All he said is, it can only get me on conspiracy. He hasn't mentioned Fred's name other than to say that we were watching football together. So they need more. How do they get more?
Small talk.
Here we go. We just got rid of the onion. Now comes the artichoke. This is the underlayer of a spiky, weird fucking vegetable. Okay, Wayne Shackelford, 31 years old. Yeah. Let's bring him into the picture. What do you say? At the time of Harlene's death, Wayne was incarcerated in the Beaver County Jail. Now, he sees a television news report concerning the murder and tells a fellow inmate, Alfonso Pietragallo, that I know Fred and I have had some dealings with him, quote, concerning his wife. Uh-huh. So they're like, interesting. Wayne Shackelford is what they call, quote, a petty criminal and heroin user. So
why would you have any dealings with his wife?
In the county jail here. He said, this is fucking funny. Now, Wayne, by the way, told Fred, because he knows him, that if he's involved in the conspiracy against Harlene, there's, quote, nothing to worry about with me if I ever get caught. My lips are sealed. Yeah. So the cellmate, Pietragallo, immediately relays this information to the warden. this Fort Knox level inside of a vault and safe fucking wow information.
Depending on if I can get my own cell, I may open this Fort Knox.
I may do. If my toilet is better, I could. You put me in a cell with a better toilet, I think I might do this. So the warden immediately contacts the police, obviously, and the police arrange to interview this Shackelford. So Shackelford says, okay, I got to tell you something that happened. To do this, we have to go back to 1986 in September. Okay. Now, he tells, in September of 86, he told his lawyer about all this, by the way, a murder conspiracy. But the lawyer didn't say anything because of attorney-client privilege. Right. So, but this was an ongoing murder conspiracy with a live person still. In 86, Harlene was still alive, and the lawyer knew of an ongoing murder conspiracy against her.
Isn't there responsibility to disclose that?
Even a priest has to fucking go to the cop. Even a psychiatrist has to go to a cop. Literally, if they know of imminent danger to somebody, they have to go to the fucking cops. It's the only circumstance where they can break your privilege.
Mandatory reporter or whatever it's called.
So yeah, she's alive still. Like, this is crazy. So wow, there's another guy here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so there's another guy, this Gibson guy, and he's told the authorities that he watched Hardin and Guevara, quote, bury a big cow on April 5th, 1985 on Guevara's landfill in New Sewickley, Beaver County. New Sewickley. The big cow turned out to be Span. So anyway, Shackelford, they talked to him. He admits to the police that Fred had solicited him to kill Harlene Mayhew. but that all of the attempts had been unsuccessful. Now, this is a fucking comedy of errors here. He describes Fred and Shackelford's attempts to kill his Harleen. Yeah. He first met Fred in the Beaver County Jail when he was there on contempt charges in 1985, obviously.
8 months, right.
How else do they know each other? So after they were both were released, they met on the street. And it was a chance meeting, they said. They didn't even set it up. I was like, hey, I know you from jail. Hey, what's up, dude? Small town, man. That's what happens. So during the course of their conversation, this guy that I saw in county jail that I just ran into on the street, I don't know how long this conversation was, but it was long enough for Fred at some point to go, hey, you looking for $10,000 maybe? Not only $10,000, I also can get you a pound of, quote, high-grade cocaine. Uh-huh. All you have to do is kill my wife. Fair?
That's one of the steeper prices that I've heard of. That's pretty...
I mean, that sounds like it's real. Like, that's not an undercover cop. They're offering real shit here. But you don't even know this guy. You just knew him from county jail briefly. Right. Some junkie from county jail.
Right. We've shared powdered soap together.
You let me borrow your toothpaste one time. This is crazy. So they also discussed 3 possible plans for carrying out the murder. Okay. So we're dealing off the bottom of the deck here. One plan included bludgeoning her to death with a baseball bat. Another plan, different time, different plan, involved shooting her in the head. And a third plan involved arranging it to look as if it was done in the course of a robbery. Okay. So that's how he escalated. We'll beat her with a baseball bat. Shooting her would be easier and cleaner. You know what? Let's just make believe it's a robbery. That way we don't look bad. So
and when they settle, they decide, let's mix them all together and make it not look like a robbery at all.
All the ideas, and we'll put it in this guy's driveway and leave a folded up dollar bill in a very precarious, in a position where it's
right.
obvious to law enforcement that this was staged here. And let's make
mix
it
all
weird...
together and make it look like Lucky Luciano did it.
Yeah, let's make it look like she sleeps with the fishes. What do you say? Fucking ridiculous. So
wow.
Fred was assuring Shackelford the whole time, even if we don't do it clean and good, don't worry about it because I know judges and lawyers that'll help us out if anything goes wrong here. Ballsy. This is all very corrupt. I know Hardin, he's a commissioner, he knows all the cops. He's the police commissioner in this other town. He'll get us off. So they exchanged phone numbers. Fred and Shackelford began meeting on a regular basis. Shackelford said that he never planned on killing Harleen, but just wanted to see what he could get out of Fred. See if he could get a down payment he could steal and go buy fucking heroin with or something. Which, if you're looking for a guy looking to hire a hitman, maybe you don't want to screw that guy over with money first.
That guy's clearly a very angry man. But you know what? Maybe you do screw that guy over because he obviously can't kill anybody.
Exactly. Otherwise, he'd just save his money and do it himself and snort all that cocaine when he was done and then just go, I'm the king of fuck mountain. Stand on top of it with a face full of powder.
Doesn't even know anybody that's capable because he's asking a heroin addict.
Yeah, what do you think that he met in county? So Shackelford thought that if he appeared to go along with the scheme, Fred would give him a job at his company. That's what he was angling for. Not even a pound of cocaine. He wanted a job. I'll kill for a job. You've ever heard anyone say that? I want that job so bad, or I'll kill for it.
This guy was dead ass serious.
It's a good job. Shackelford was able to get an initial payment of $500 from Fred after Shackelford told him that he needed, quote, certain equipment before he could go to the residence.
It's some walking around money.
$500. Fred later gave Shackelford another $700 to buy a gun and a 10-speed bike.
You can get both of them for $700.
Yeah, you can. And a half gram of the high-grade cocaine that he offered him so he could test its quality to know that it's worth it. I'll give him a taste of it. He's going to kill anybody for this shit when he's done with that. The bike was supposed to facilitate Shackelford's escape after he shot Harleen. He was going to drive away on a fucking 10-speed, Jimmie.
Wow.
On a 10-speed bike. Imagine that. There's that big hill. There's that big hill. I better get a 10-speed so he can lighten it up on that big hill. Otherwise, I'm going to have to walk it halfway up that thing. Once you murder someone, you don't have to walk your back. It's just, you're feeling good and strong, and the next thing you know, you're in the 4th grade and you're in a crosswalk, and it just ruins it for me. So, wow. Following these, quote, payments, then Fred gave Shackelford a .22 caliber pistol, which they practiced shooting at a local gun range. They really put time into this.
He went target practice.
People have hobbies they don't spend half as much time on,
Well, it feels
they
like
have
he's
kids
just
they don't spend as much time with.
Just getting him comfortable with the weapon, because point blank range, who needs to go to the fucking gun range to shoot that?
It's just this has been over months. This isn't like a week. This just keeps going on. Like, well, this is our project that we're doing. This week we're going to a gun range. It's like a reality show. Like, will we kill Harleen? And by episode 8, they're at a gun range and the plan's set in motion. Let's see that finale.
Shooting at 30, 50 feet when you're going to put the gun against somebody's temple? What the fuck, man?
And on the finale, surprise, one of the Real Housewives shows up. Yeah, that's what goes on here. So the gun was obviously supposed to be used to kill Harleen. However, Shackelford just gave the gun to a friend of his, Sylvester Waters. Then Waters tried to sell the gun, but was arrested for possessing it, being an ex-convict. So that was gone. The gun is confiscated. So that's one dead end.
You're going to have to get another gun.
We're going to need a bigger boat and another gun. Somebody's going to have to go back and get a shitload of dimes. So once that they began to meet regularly at that point, Fred took Shackelford to Harleen's residence 4 or 5 times to show him the way. On one of the occasions, they were accompanied by James Harden, so he's in on this plot from the beginning. According to Shackelford, Fred and Harden picked him up and drove him to a country road near Harleen's residence, and Fred was dressed in camouflage clothing, led Shackelford through the woods to her house. This is fucking ridiculous. When they got to her house, Fred identified the various buildings on the property, saying, blah, blah, blah. Here's what she looks like. She hangs out in here. If she's not here, she might be over there. Then a truck arrived at the property, and they ran away into the woods like children. Then
he's in camouflage. They can't see you, man.
Still, through the woods. Then fucking Fred whips out a walkie-talkie that he's got with him where he contacts Harden, who then picks them up. This is so silly.
This is great.
This is amazing. On the ride back to this guy cleans shitters, industrial shit pipes. He is Paul Calhoun in real life, and he's, God damn it. So on the ride back to Shackelford's home to drop him off, Harden and Fred decided that Shackelford could find his way through the woods. He can make it. He can do it. And that the back road would be the drop-off point when the time came to kill her. So they try this a couple of times. They drive him to the road behind the residence so he could kill her, and we'll find out what happens here. Attempt 1. Shackelford wandered in the woods after Harden dropped him off at the spot. He couldn't find the house and later said that he was unable to find his way to the residence and needed to be picked up. So
maybe next time give me a compass. I don't know. I can't find it.
Attempt 1, lost in the dark woods. Okay.
Oh, there he is.
This whole episode, this whole plot is lost in the woods. That's the thing. Attempt 2. Fred places reflector tags on the trees to guide the path to the fucking house. Reflector tags on the trees to guide the way. He drives him to the spot, lets him out. It's got a reflective fucking line. By the way, the cops aren't going to notice that.
Right.
When they're
pathway to the house.
Jesus Christ. This time, Shackelford follows the reflectors all the way up there. Can't fail now, right?
Right.
What? No. Once he gets there, he just sat and watched the horses, he said. He just sat by. I picture him eating like a bag of Doritos, like one of those little grab bag of Doritos. Just like, this is nice.
Walk that whole way, gonna kill. Gets there and goes, nobody said there was fucking horses. This is beautiful.
Sat there, and he's just a crunch. I picture him at one point, he nodded and he went, this is nice. I really feel like he did. This is nice right now. I needed this. This is good. I feel very refreshed. Okay.
I got there, saw the horses, lost all the steam to murder. They were beautiful.
They were gorgeous. These majestic. They were majestic, these animals. I saw them and I said, you know what? If this is one of God's creatures, I ain't going to kill another one of God's creatures. Tell you what right now.
Listen, Fred, you ever seen a horse lay down and scratch its back? It's adorable. There's no way you can murder after that.
It's kind of hilarious and adorable at the same time. You should come on with me through the woods. It's the path is lit. Let's go. So he watches the horses again, went home without committing the murder. This is nice.
Attempt three. Lost the course. I thought I saw a quarter.
You know, there's these. I saw a bright light in the sky. It stood me still in my tracks. My legs felt like they were concreted to the ground, and next thing you know, I was being beamed up to a ship.
Turns out it was the moon. I was hallucinating. So
it's wild. Tip 3, don't take acid before you attempt to kill people. So Shackelford tells Hardin this night that he, quote, didn't feel like killing her that evening. And tells Hardin that, and asks Hardin to tell Fred that I'd gone to, tell him I went there, but there was something happened and I couldn't do it. I don't feel like doing it, but just tell him I tried. Give him I went over there and there was like a bunch of people were there and you know how it goes. I had to turn around. I watched the horses for a while.
I got hungry, brought a tuna fish with me. I ate the tuna fish sandwich, and then I was full. Can't murder on an empty stomach. Also, not on a full stomach.
Yeah, that's why that bag of Doritos was perfect, but the horses was so goddamn majestic. I just watched them and said, fuck it, now I just need to go back home. Feeling too good.
This is incredible.
So Hardin says, okay, that's fine. I'll tell him, whatever. Let's go to dinner. So they went out to dinner at the Red Bull Inn. And this is pre-Red Bull, so This is just, there's probably I assume a big neon Red Bull outside. So Fred at that point changes his plan on how the murder should be carried out. This fucking idiot's not going to do it here. He told Shackelford that, look, this is what you can do. All right, I'll make it simple for you. You seem like a fucking dummy. Let's do it. Listen, you can do this. You kill her. Bang, bang. Done. You put her body in the car. You drive it over to Kisau's house over there. And he's going to chop it up and dispose of it. All you got to do is kill her, throw her in a fucking trunk, and drive her over to this house, leave the keys in the ignition. How fucking stupid are you? Can you do that? And he was like, I guess so. So at this point, Shackelford said, there was no way to... He has blown it a bunch of times, and this guy just keeps coming back with more, you can do it. So... with more encouraging words. So he's like, I don't want to do this.
Pep talk. It's not working. He needs a Phil Jackson.
So Shackelford said, okay, can't go to the cops because, I'm in the middle of a murder plot.
Right.
He's going to make me murder her. I don't want to murder her. How do I fix this? I'll go tell her about it. So Mayhew decides.
It's amazing.
Shackelford decides to warn Harleen Mayhew of Fred's plot to kill her.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So on June 10th, 86, 6 months before she's killed, he calls her from a residence in Ambridge without identifying himself, tells her that her life is in danger and that she should be careful.
Okay.
All right. Now, from then on, Fred would never talk to Shackelford again. So apparently she took that random warning from a stranger that was completely unidentified and went, Fred's trying to kill me, because she knew. Okay. Yeah. So enter Edward Lau, L-A-U. That's Lau, right? L-A-U? Yeah. Lau.
Sure is.
Edward Lau. He's 21. Let's get younger and younger. He is a former busboy at the Sheraton Hotel in Station Square. So there you go. A former busboy. Not even a current busboy. And not even a current busboy. Former one. Right. He was recruited by all of these idiots here to commit the murder as well. He is pulled into this group. This is ridiculous. Okay. They focus on Lau. Here comes another ridiculous fucking deal here. He said him and his friend McCarthy made 2 trips to Daugherty in February of 1985, fucking 10 months before she's killed. Yeah. Once to tour the area and once to commit the murder. He'd had a ski mask, gloves, handgun. He said that Lau testified that he offered $300 or $400 to his friend to drive him to the house, telling his friend that we're going to pick up stolen goods when he was really going to murder the woman. That was the plan here. Now, we'll talk about this. April 17th, 85, Lau and Danny Farrell are discovered parked outside Harlene's residence. All right? That evening, Lau had knocked on her door, telling her that his car had broken down and that he needed water. She refused to open the door and told Lau to go down the road to the gas station. She then called the police. When the police arrived, they found them slouched down in Farrell's car in a parking lot on her property. They won't see us if we're in the car.
Putting a hand over.
Shit. Oh, please put your head down. You're on her property. It's not on the road. You're not in a fucking Safeway parking lot. You're on her property.
Asking for water.
Oh, my God. So they search the vehicle. They find a ski mask, lighter fluid, and a loaded .25 caliber automatic pistol. So
oh my God.
They have a kind of a full kit here.
How this ever happened, how anybody ever died is baffling.
That's what I mean. This is crazy. The gun was traced to Walter Gimbus of Ohio. Gimbus had sold the gun to Jerry McCarthy, the guy that Lau is with here, right. Or was with originally, between September 81 and May 82. McCarthy then gave the gun to Lau, and Lau was arrested for possessing the gun as well as loitering and prowling. So when the cops arrest him, Lau says, he tells the cops the gun's his, and he purchased it at a bar in McKees Rocks, and that he and Farrell had just gotten lost and their car broke down. So I don't know what you're talking about. He pled guilty to firearms violation and received a 5-year probation. So
he's lucky that gun isn't traced to a murder somewhere already. You buy a gun in a parking lot at a bar, it's probably got a body on it.
It's got something wrong with it. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect. So now, shortly after Harlene's actual murder, detectives went to Lau's residence to question him because he was found outside stalking the house with a gun and the same caliber gun that this woman was killed with. So, right. This is interesting. Lau told detectives he went to the house in April of 85 in order to rob it. Then they contacted Lau's attorney to arrange a meeting with him, and during that meeting, Lau decided to cooperate with police in their investigation. So this leads to Gerard McCarthy, the guy who bought the gun originally, Jerry McCarthy. Now, Lau says that in January 85, he had been solicited by Jerry McCarthy to kill Harlene Mayhew. He was working as the busboy at the Sheraton at that point. He met McCarthy, who tended bar at the same hotel, and McCarthy often sold cocaine to Lau, and they partied together sometimes. Every bartender has cocaine to sell. Doesn't matter how upstanding they look, there's cocaine under that fucking bar to buy every time.
Or they know where it is.
In 2 seconds. Without leaving behind the bar, they can get it for you.
Right. Did he hear somewhere that busboys just murder people? Does he think that that's just what happens? Why?
Well, if you need like a coffee, they'll go get you one. So I guess he figured like... You asked for extra Parmesan cheese, they might run and grab it. I guess he figured maybe you could.
Yeah. Sometimes if you see the busboy, you just go, have you seen my server? They'll go get them, and then you can get anything you want. So maybe he thought, have you seen my murderer? Go find him.
Yeah. Can you kill my wife? Anybody? No? All right. Well, I guess I'll take some more black pepper then. Sure. Why not?
Unreal.
So... Lau said McCarthy drove him out there, pointed out the house where it's supposed to get done. Then McCarthy drove to a nearby bar and introduced Lau to a young man at the bar and told Lau that the man would help him get out of Beaver County if he needed help. McCarthy drove past the home of Ronald Niche, a friend of McCarthy and Hardin, and told Lau that he could also go here for assistance. Here are your safe houses to go to. Okay. They drive back to Pittsburgh. McCarthy tells Lau that the job was to kill the lady who lived in the house where they went. He said the lady's husband wanted her dead because of their divorce and was willing to pay $10,000. Gives him the loaded .25 pistol, tells him to make sure that the hit does not look professional. Make it look sloppy. I don't think that Lau is capable of anything else, honestly. We think Lau's going to make this look like like the Gambino family did it? No.
Yeah, he seems sloppy at best.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. They're sending people that need bicycles as getaway that can't find their way through the fucking woods and get distracted staring at horses. So he said either hit her with a baseball bat, stab her, or strangle her. He said McCarthy explained that if Lou hit her in the head with the bat, it would be just like hitting a watermelon. No big deal. He'll just pop it. He also told Lau that if he were caught, everything would be taken care of because they all know people in Beaver County and it'll be nice and corrupt. So McCarthy also warned Lau not to grab the wrong person because someone else had done that. Grabbed the wrong person at one point. He also told Lau that he wouldn't want to know what happened to him if he said anything to anybody. Like, I wouldn't even want to know what happened to you if you said something to the cops. You're going to get murdered even worse. Meanwhile, they have to hire this idiot to kill this guy. So who are they going to hire to kill him? So about a week later, McCarthy asked Lau, when are you going to kill this broad? What are you doing? You going to kill her or what? Lau said he needs a ride out to the property. Hitmen without wheels, man. What the fucking... No.
It's not on the bus route, man. That's why it's taken so long.
Transportation is part of any hitman application. Yeah. Do you have your own transportation? Right. No, I'm not giving you a 10-speed bicycle. That's ridiculous. So McCarthy arranges to use his girlfriend's car, and then as he and his girlfriend and Lau all traveled to Mayhew's residence. Let's get as many people in this conspiracy as possible. Now she's involved in it. Wow. McCarthy drops Lau off on a road behind the residence. Lau follows a creek to the victim's house, at the time. Lau said he just sat behind her house behind the garage and then told McCarthy later that nobody was home. She's so lucky. The laziest hitman in the history of the world.
And dumbest and easiest he found guys with ADD.
Yeah, they'll watch horses. They sit behind a garage. Not even a phone to dick around with. He just sat there for a couple hours.
Scrolling Instagram.
McCarthy told Lau that he can't drive him to the property since I want to have an alibi for when the murder occurred. I don't know what I was thinking last time, but this time I'm thinking I can't drive you out there. He said, let me know when you're going to do the murder so I can arrange to be where people are going to see me. And then he gave Lau to one of the keys to one of the buildings on the property, as well as a floor plan of Harlene's house. So he arranged for his friend Danny Farrell to drive him to the house, told him they were going to pick up stolen goods. They arrived. Lau walked up to the residence. You know what happened. They get arrested scooching down in a car with all of the things to rob and kill this woman. So he pleads...
What do you charge those guys with? Loitering and...
Attempted burglary and firearms possession.
All kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, all sorts of ticky-tack shit here. The judge described Lau's story as nonsense when he goes to trial and said that he suspected Lau was, quote, out there for no good. Yeah. And I would say so. He said Lau admitted afterwards that the judge was correct. Literally said that judge was right later on.
He nailed it.
So there's another guy here, the district attorney, Edward Tachi. He came back he gets into this case, and he represented Fred Mayhew during the divorce.
Oh.
So he had to turn the probe over to the state authorities because he can't do anything about it because he knew. So them knowing everybody actually fucked them over because they weren't allowed to represent them because they knew them. They weren't allowed to.
The lawyers you want because they fucking know you.
Well, rather than the guy prosecuting you, you can't because that prosecutor actually represented you. So now he can't. If he just knew you, it would be fine. But he doesn't just know you from around town. He actually repped you. So
he knows you.
He knows you. This is the lawyer who helped Fred get out of jail in January 1985 by arranging for him to sign a judgment note promising to repay $44,000 to the business. So the assistant district attorney said about this whole thing, quote, perhaps never before in the history of Western Pennsylvania have so many people stalked one person for so long. This is like a year they did this for. People.
She had no clue. Well, I guess she had a clue.
People stumbling around her yard, not fun. Like, it's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. So they arrest Jerry McCarthy as well. He's ordered held for court and arrested, charged with offering $10,000 for a contract murder. They got Edward Lau in there. They got all sorts of fucking people are being arrested now. Hardin, the whole deal. So Wayne Shackelford also says that he he admits that he was hired to kill her and all that sort of thing. So Earl T. Spann, the dead guy in the landfill, where the fuck did he come from? Well, They were contacted by Steve Guevara, owner of the landscaping and excavation business, who owned the property adjacent to Mayhew's residence. So they buried her at the landfill across the street. Also, they couldn't even, or not her, him. Span across from the murder, the attempted hit's house. This is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, so Guevara tells them that Hardin and Fred drove to the job site where Guevara was working and asked if they could borrow his pickup truck. So they took it, and later that evening he returned the truck to the property where Guevara was training one of his employees, Hudson Gibson, that's the Gibson guy who testified about this, to operate a large excavator. Hardin asked Guevara if he'd be willing to bury a dog for him, and he said he would, and told Gibson to begin digging the hole, the assistant. While he was excavating, Hardin told Guevara that he wanted to talk to him privately. They then went into his trailer, where Hardin told Guevara that, quote, the four-legged dog was really a two-legged dog.
Oh, boy.
That's what he said. Then he explained that he wanted to bury the body of a man who Fred hired to kill his wife. So this would be Earl. I guess Fred had given Earl money, but Earl didn't do the job. So Hardin said that he, Fred, and, quote, Jerry the hitman, who's McCarthy, had shot the guy in the back of the head with a .25.
They worked it out.
So they can kill him. So they said they wanted to bury the body on the property of Howard Stuber, who was a business associate of Fred, but were unable to gain access to his backhoe. They were going to just go plant a body in someone else's backyard. So Guevara was assured that if he agreed to bury the body, then Hardin and Fred would come back later and move it somewhere else. We'll get rid of it, just right now we got to stash it somewhere. So they didn't identify him, but they found out later it was Earl Spann. Hardin had brought Spann to Guevara's property on one other occasion when he was alive and introduced him to Guevara. Guevara also overheard Hardin arguing with Spann on the telephone on prior occasions. After the argument, Hardin told Guevara that Spann had, quote, loose lips.
They sink ships, I hear.
I've heard that many times. I believe that's true. It might be true. It's just one of those, it's out there a lot. So following the burial, Hardin began to refer to Spann as a, quote, dog anytime his name was mentioned.
Oh, because
he's the dog.
Yeah.
Wow. On a number of occasions after the burial, Hardin, in the presence of Guevara, would call up Spann's telephone number, leave a message on the answering machine, then laugh. Because he knew he was dead because he buried him. Yeah, that way he would go, I didn't kill him. I've been trying to get a hold of the guy. So at least he's smart enough to do that when you're trying to get away with murder. So anyway.
Where you at, buddy? We're over here partying. Miss you. Come on by.
Hey, what the fuck? You don't fucking call me back? I'm getting pissed. Starting to get mad. Now, the newspaper reported Spann missing. Hardin told Guevara that Spann had been hired by Fred to kill his wife but didn't do the job even though he took the money. Right. So 1 to 2 months after the incident, Guevara and Hardin were at Guevara's property, and he once again said thanks for taking care of that down there and pointed to where the body was buried. And Guevara said at that point, Fred appeared to know where the body was, even though he had not been present at the time of the burial, and Guevara hadn't told him the location of the grave. Wow. So Fred and Hardin also informed Guevara that Jerry the hitman was a, quote, real professional and a good hitman, and he could do the job. He could do a job for Guevara if he needed it. Just in case you need anyone killed, this guy can take care of it. Jerry the hitman, by the way, works as a bartender at Station Square in Pittsburgh and dealt drugs on the side. Wow. Obviously. So
jack of all trades.
He's got it all. He can make you a Manhattan and fucking kill your wife and then give you some coke to get you jacked up to go out look for more ladies later. He's the fucking perfect guy to talk to here. So December 15th, 1986, Guevara said he returned to his house at 11:15 across the street from Harlene's house, and he noticed Hardin's vehicle parked on his property facing toward Harlene's residence. He pulled up, saw Hardin inside the car. Hardin had a police scanner and a handheld radio in the car with him as well. Guevara could hear a male voice talking to Hardin through the walkie-talkie, but he couldn't identify it because walkie-talkies in 85 sound like shit, or 86.
They change your voice quite a bit.
Terribly. Hardin then immediately told Guevara to move his car because he's blocking the view. He said, hey, stop, move the car. You're blocking the view. The view Then Hardin pointed over toward Harlene's residence and told him that Fred was down there and, quote, it's going down right now.
Right now.
So he told him he's killing his wife right now over there. I'm trying to watch. Can you get out of my fucking way? So later, Guevara's taking a shower. Hardin knocked on the door and asked for some water. Hardin explained that Fred had knocked his wife's eyes out and it was a mess.
Jesus.
And there was blood everywhere. So when Hardin later returned the water container, he told Guevara that it, quote, had been just like Jimmie Hoffa and that Guevara's wife would be next. We'll kill your wife next. We'll take care of that for you. He doesn't want his wife killed, though. That's the thing.
I like her.
But he's telling, like, I'll do you a favor and kill your wife. Like, everyone just wants their wife dead. You want to kill your wife, right? What, you've been married 12, 13 years? The thrill is gone. We'll kill her. Start over. Let's do it.
Don't act
what
like
the fuck?
Don't act like it's the same.
You've been so helpful. I'll just kill her. You've been so helpful, really. I'll kill her. Don't worry about it.
Do you a favor.
Oh, man. So the following day, Guevara heard that the police had found Harlene's body in the trunk of a car. He drove to Hardin's residence in the afternoon to drop off some insurance papers. He found that's when he found Hardin cleaning out the trunk of the car like Henry Hill in Goodfellas. I hit a skunk, Karen, all right?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Hardin asked Guevara if he could help him gather up ammunition, which was lying loose in his trunk, and to try to help find a glove that he had lost. Terrible murderers, just terrible.
Why is he so clumsy? Spilled all the bullets, can't find my gloves. Who are you, OJ?
That's what I mean. Plus, I'd like to, can you see all aspects of our evidence just so you can link it all together if you have to for the police? Thank you. He looked in the trunk, saw some loose .25 caliber ammunition as well as camouflage clothing. He said he refused to help Hardin, saying he didn't want to put his fingerprints on anything. I don't want to touch any of this.
Touch a goddamn thing.
Guevara then brought up the subject of Harlene's death, and Hardin got excited at that point and said, quote, I told those guys how to do it and they didn't listen to me. And that is when Chief Zerillo, remember in the beginning when Zerillo, the cop, went to talk to him because he heard his friend died? That's when he pulled up in the middle of this argument, telling him they didn't listen to me. They could have killed him right. Chief, how you doing, buddy? Long time no see. How you been? How's tricks? Yeah, it's great. So later that day, Guevara then tells Howard Stuber that Hardin had been in his driveway the previous evening. Howard Stuber advised him to go to the police or get an attorney, one or the two, but you probably shouldn't just sit on this. Right. He's a good friend. Guevara then went to an attorney and told him about the incident. When Guevara came to pay his respects at the funeral, he was confronted by Fred, who told him that the attorney told him what the fuck he said, and I'll talk to you later. And that's when he started calling him and saying, come meet me somewhere. And that's when Guevara went to the police. Wow. See how this all works out? The onion, we're getting to the fucking heart right here.
So heavy.
So Fred warned Guevara not to fucking say anything about Hardin being in his driveway that night. So after that conversation, they kept calling him and all this type of shit. Hardin began calling Guevara, asking him to tell the police the only reason that he was there that night was to bring him a bottle of scotch. Just say I was in the driveway bringing you some shit. You've already told them I was there. Shit. Hardin also asked Guevara not to take police to where they buried Earl Spann, rather take them to a spot where they actually buried a dead dog, because they had buried a dead dog too. Actually show him the dog. Guevara told Hardin to leave him alone and told him that he was going to go to the police and he knew about what happened and he was tired of this shit. And then Hardin got arrested because he followed through and did all that shit. February 12th is when Guevara showed them where the body of Earl Spann was. Back to the beginning. So, Wilbert Alexander. In September of that year, investigators learned from an inmate at the Allegheny County Jail that Wilbert Alexander, from him, that Fred's arrest had not ended his efforts to screw things up, right? This guy testifies that during June of 87, while he's incarcerated following his arrest, the Attorney General's office brought drug charges against him. During that time, Alexander agreed to aid the Attorney General's office into ongoing drug investigations. September 10th, 87, this Alexander guy related to an agent that Fred had repeatedly approached him about killing certain witnesses against him. So they just went to everybody, man. This guy, it's fucking crazy. This guy also, the agent then relayed the information to investigators who arranged for this Alexander to wear a body wire, a fucking wire. So it was agreed that Alexander would talk to Fred, tell him that he was getting out of prison, but otherwise let Fred do the talking. So Alexander was specifically instructed to avoid any conversation relating to the murder case pending. So Alexander meets with Fred and tells him that he's going to be released from prison. Fred then gave him certain information about the witnesses he wants killed.
Of course he did.
I'm getting out of prison soon. He's like, can you kill a few people for me? Here's a list.
Welcome back.
No entrapment. So unbelievable. So the Hardin trial here. Hardin is going to be charged with all sorts of shit here, a conspiracy and murder. Frederick Mayhew is charged with first-degree murder as well. Frederick Mayhew is up for the death penalty.
Yeah, because he's the one that wanted this whole thing.
And he did it. Physically did it.
Oh, he did.
He beat her. He choked her. Yeah, he was across the street doing it, Fred. I mean, he did everything by hand.
He did not hire anybody. Nope. He did it.
Want something done right? Do it yourself and have your friend watch from across the street. What a creepy scenario.
That's a weird one. Yeah.
Stroking it.
Right.
Get out of the way. I'm almost there.
I can't see. Move.
Ugh, gross. So during Hardin's trial, because his trial comes up first, he is charged with with conspiracy and criminal homicide. That's a lot. He tries to say that detectives violated his Miranda rights by making small talk with him when he burst out saying they can only get me for conspiracy in the hallway of a judge's office.
Right.
So I'm sorry. Listen, if you're standing next to two cops in a fucking judge's hallway, right, and you're not some dumb person you're a fucking guy who is you were a cop and you're an elected commissioner in charge of police and safety matters, not to say that shit at any point. I'm sorry.
You're aware of what can be held against you.
You know the consequences and you know your rights. It's fucking, but I get it. So the judge ruled that they didn't violate the Miranda rights because they weren't questioning him. They didn't mention the murder. Right. He blurted it out without being questioned. That's a voluntary utterance, and that's tough shit on you. Yeah. He had been Mirandized before that, and that's good enough. So the judge said he's going to admit several statements Hardin made to other detectives and Beaver County police officers. And most of those, Hardin admitted he was with Fred Mayhew the night of the slaying because he was going around, we're each other's alibis. Yeah. And what he did was tie them together so they're both in the same thing. That's all he did. Idiots. This is fucking the dumbest people ever. Now, witnesses testified that he was sitting in a parked car outside the house with a walkie-talkie. They had Guevara. They had the women who saw him sitting out there. It wasn't very good. He's acting as a lookout. Guevara testifies. That's the crucial testimony here is Guevara's saying that he arrived home. The guy said it's going down over there. Right. All that shit here. Guevara said the reason he didn't come forward immediately was because he feared Hardin's political connections in the whole matter. But then he said, okay, they might kill me here, so I better do this.
Yeah, save my own skin.
No shit. So enter a man named Ron Bozza, B-O-Z-Z-A.
Get in here, Ronnie.
Ronnie boy, join the fray, will you? Come on in, Ronnie. The water's warm, buddy. Let's hear what's going on. Ron says he received 2 phone calls and 2 letters and 2 phone calls from Hardin shortly after Hardin's arrest on the homicide charges. He says he received a letter from Hardin on February 10th. He was arrested on the 6th, so he's immediately writing letters while he was at the Allegheny County Jail, expressing concern about the safety of Beaver County Common Pleas Judge Robert Reed. Bozza said Hardin told him he learned about possible danger to Reed from someone in jail. Reed was the one who ordered Mayhew to serve 254 days in the county jail during the divorce proceedings. So he's basically saying, I heard someone wants to kill that judge.
Right.
So Bozza said Hardin asked him to tell Rochester attorney Eugene Martucci, who's the guy that they all talked to, not to talk about the divorce case if detectives questioned him. Bozza said he became scared that he could be implicated in the Mayhew death and went immediately to police. So they placed a tap on his phone, And in transcripts of conversations between Bozza and Hardin, February 16th and 17th, Hardin talked more about the danger to Reed. In one of the conversations, Hardin expressed concern that police would question 5 large deposits he made in his bank account. He said the deposits totaled $7,000, were lent to him by Aliquippa District Judge Peter Lovashayo to help Hardin buy his house. Hardin tells Bozza on the phone conversation that he would have a hard time explaining these deposits to the state attorney general, and let's not make it too complicated for me.
Right.
Verdict comes in, and not shockingly, because he's told everyone on earth and a million people saw him, he's found guilty, Hardin is, of all of that shit, and he's sentenced to, you, sir, may fuck off, life in prison for Mr. Hardin, okay? During this time, Fred's businesses are in turmoil because he's in jail.
They've got to be just tanking.
One of his partners, Stuber, the guy who lives over there too, they wanted to bury the body in his yard. He sues to keep his company intact here. He's got to sue. He filed suit to stop the IRS from seizing the assets of his company to pay Mayhew's back taxes because he's like, I own fucking part of this company. Stuber filed suit here, and the IRS placed a lien on the company, which is Amico Environmental Services, when it was discovered that he owed back taxes of $545,532.76.
Good Lord.
It was found, that's during the divorce and all that shit. According to the suit, Frederick Mayhew's interest in Amico is substantially less than the taxes owed. So Stuber is asking that his interest in the company be increased from the 40% he received when the company was formed, so he can have control over day-to-day operations and be able to do this.
Right.
The IRS, I believe, agrees to it because then they end up auctioning off all of Fred's shit.
Oh, no.
Yes, they have a bunch of shit here they're trying to get back. They say he has a collection of Kentucky rifles that could help pay the debts off. The IRS is auctioning off an assortment of antique rifles, handguns, swords, and decoy ducks that belong to Mayhew. All sorts of shit. They hope to recover the $317,793 in federal taxes that he owes off of this. And then the other, with interest, is the rest of it.
Right.
So his collection was seized here. One of his buddies was holding it. 24 rifles, 18 handguns, including a Luger pistol, and 6 swords will go to the highest bidder. Also, a collection of a set of 19 wooden decoy ducks. I guess good ones could probably be expensive, I bet.
Really? They're just foam, right?
I don't know what the fuck they are. I guess, I don't know. I've never duck hunted.
Today's money, that's like $100,000 worth of shit, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe 60 or 80. I don't know. It's certainly not $300,000.
What says being auctioned are the Colt 45 automatics of their period, an 1816 U.S. military flintlock pistol.
It's those.
Yeah, he's got like old black powder rifles and shit. Other guns on the auction block, such as the Pepper Box, 31 caliber Pepper Box gun. I don't know what that is. And a European Flobert, which were popular pieces in the mid-19th century. So
the
mid-1800s we're talking here.
Mid-1800s haircut machine.
Yeah, the Flobert. Yeah, they gave everybody the bewigged look. They said, quote, the Pepper Box was very popular in the 1840s among those who took part in the gold rush. Okay, that's interesting. Although the condition of the gun and its finish can lower its price, he said that because such guns as the Flobert and the Pepper Box were made in great numbers, they're unlikely to fetch high prices. Says the Pepper Box was made by the tens of thousands and won't go too far in paying that debt. The guns such as the Kentucky rifles will get high prices. If he has a good collection of Kentuckys, Uncle Sam is going to collect that money, a gun dealer said. He's in an area where they get good money. They said that the original finish aren't worm-eaten, and they could be worth at least $2,000 each. So That's pretty cool. They said the guns are somewhat of a novelty. They're interesting to look at, being that they date back to the 1850s. If I were a gun collector, I would sure be interested in buying them. That's a quote from one of the IRS agents in charge of the auction.
Anybody want to raise the price on these to try to cover this shit?
That's fucking amazing. Only registered gun dealers with a current license will be allowed to bid on the World War II Luger, because I guess that's still operational. As opposed to the other ones, which are just kind of whatever for show. So they have that auction here. His property is sold. They sell his truck, his motorhome, his car, all sorts of shit here to pay back his debts. It's they just strip him of everything. Yeah. Which now he's up for trial. Now the prosecutor, because he doesn't want the blame spread too far around. You want to concentrate it on Fred. He said, because they talked about all of these people that could have turned him in that didn't turn it in, all of these other people, and we're going to blame Fred for all this. That was his defense, pretty much.
That's all I got, Your Honor.
How many people could have stopped him from trying to kill his wife, and they didn't? Now it's whose fault is that? So he said that, quote, even if those people had acted responsibly, Fred Mayhew probably would have eventually killed her anyway, is what the prosecutor says. So, yeah. His two sisters testify for him. Joan and Sandra Mayhew testify on his behalf. They say that, they're his alibi, all of that. The assistant district attorney here, he says in his closing that in the neatly folded dollar bill that they found on top of her, that epitomized the venom that Mayhew admitted existed. Quote, it was Fred's final send-off to Harleen. It was like he said, here's your money.
Yeah.
It really was.
Right. I knew it right when you said it.
Yeah, he was like, I want them to know it's me. Well, Let's see. I can ask 1 million people to be in on the murder plot. I can make sure there's witnesses to the actual murder. Yeah. I could then pass the body off to somebody else who has nothing to do with this shit. And on top of that, why don't we fucking add this into it as well? This is pretty ridiculous. Let's throw the dollar bill in case there's any ideas. So he says that there's some hearsay he doesn't want admitted, because James Harden said some shit and, it doesn't really go to him. But he says they don't fall within the co-conspirators exception of the whole thing. He argues that Harden's statements regarding the death of Earl Spann were not made in furtherance of the conspiracy to kill Harleen and cannot therefore be admitted under the exception.
Okay.
But the court says, yeah, but Earl Spann only died because of the plot to Harleen.
Right.
So it's all part of one crime, you fucking
Earl
idiot.
Would be fine if he didn't want to murder his own wife.
That's the thing. So, they said that the conversation with Steve Guevara allowed Harden and Fred to obtain a burial site for him, thus enabling them to avoid prosecution for the murder, remain free and at large to continue their ongoing plot against Harleen.
Exactly.
All true. They also say that they shouldn't have admitted statements of Jerry McCarthy, the good hitman, quote unquote, as statements made by a co-conspirator, because they challenge his statements. Fred says that the statements were inadmissible due to the failure to present sufficient evidence that he was even involved in the conspiracy. How do you have even evidence that he was in there? Meanwhile, he gave Lau the gun the gun that Lau got busted with was sold by a man who they got a statement from saying, I sold that gun to Jerry McCarthy. So that's how you're connected physically. Never mind through witnesses, you dumb fuck. So, he also, there's a final one here saying you can't have the statements that Harden made to Steve Guevara following the arrest here. Harden asked Guevara to misdirect the police, to the dog thing. And he's like, you can't let that in there. And they're like,
the part where they were like trying to keep people away, authorities away from the body. You can't talk about that.
And they said, it's erroneously admitted under co-conspirator exception since they weren't made during the conspiracy, which had terminated upon his arrest. So they said, no, it's all fulfillment of one thing. Anything you did in furtherance of trying to kill Harleen, anything, all counts. It's giant. It's a big tent, and it's all inside. It's like a county fair in here, babe.
It's like a big circus.
The 4-H show is right fucking here.
It's a big circus, and you're all clowns.
No shit, man. So finally, there's a lot going on here. Jesus Christ. So the trial is happening, and they really got him kind of fucked here. Yeah. And he claims that they should have suppressed evidence on the death of Earl Spann and all that kind of shit under the grounds that it constituted inadmissible evidence of prior criminal activity. He tried that one too. Well, you're trying to get in past crimes. They're like, it's a past crime that has something to do with the current crime we're talking about. You killed a guy to cover up your current crime. That's not a past crime, you fucking moron. That is really frustrating. So they said evidence of other crimes can be admitted where there's legitimate evidentiary purpose. Some of the exceptions recognized are, they said that legitimate basis for admitting evidence of a defendant's distinct crimes include motive, intent, absence of mistake or accident, common scheme, plan, or design embracing two or more crimes so related to each other that the proof of one tends to prove the others. Yeah. I think that falls hard fucking core under that deal here. So anyway, there's 6 hours of deliberation on this verdict. 6 hours of deliberation on this whole thing.
That is stressful.
That's a lot.
That's too much time.
Fred comes back guilty of all charged here. Everything you can imagine, all the murder, all the conspiracy, all the hits of the 80s, 90s, and today. He's found guilty of fucking all of it. So during sentencing, he's got to get up there and now admit to what he did, or else he's getting the death penalty. So he's got to try to go, I don't know what I was thinking. So he gets up there on the stand and tells the jury that he, quote, must have had a breakdown. Because I must have had a breakdown. He said, after I got put in jail for 6 months, he said I had a breakdown when I got out, and all I wanted to do was kill my wife. I had to kill her. That's all I could think about. Is that what Tom Petty
was singing about?
Yeah, you won't back down, and you'll
break down.
Oh, you're on breakdown. We could do that too.
That's a good song.
And she was an American Girl in the trunk of your car. It all fits together.
And now you're free falling, sir. So let's have a chat about how long.
You're free falling, and oh my God. Say goodbye to Mary Jane, because you're going to be in prison, motherfucker.
We're going to run down this drain.
God, bet your fucking ass.
Boy, do I love Tom Petty. But I will tell you what, sir. Nobody knows how it feels to be you. That is true.
I love it. So, must have had a breakdown, whole deal here. Yeah. And he said, don't do me like that. And he was like, listen.
Get in there, because you don't have to live like a refugee.
You don't. That's the thing. You can tell the truth here. So he does. And he says, quote, when I got out of jail, it was probably one of the top things on my mind, killing his wife. Yeah. I was angry. Well, no shit. He said, at that time, I was not in my right mind. I think I went through a complete mental breakdown. And he begins to sob uncontrollably on the stand. He said, it's horrible. Everything's horrible. And then he said in his sobs after all that, quote, heaven forbid that anybody should ever have to go to jail. If you've never been there, it will blow your mind.
Will it?
Like, you put me in jail, and that's plenty of punishment for me, man, because it's beyond the pale in there, buddy. I'll tell you what.
I think I've paid my penance. I'd like to go home now.
I'm telling you, no, just don't kill me. You just put me in jail. I'll be good. So they deliberate for 5 hours on the penalty here and give it to the judge. Judge gets up there. You, sir, may fuck off. Death in the electric chair.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they said, dude, anybody in their right mind, never mind you tried to do it, you actually killed her, all that. Anyone in their right mind, after the first 10 failed fucking attempts to do this, would have went, oh my God, I've come to my right mind. I'm not in the middle of my breakdown anymore. This is a year-long plot with everyone he ever knew.
Yeah.
He'd just meet people and be like, hey, you looking for 10 grand, pound of high-grade coke? Because I got a fucking ex-wife that is just, oh man, you have no idea.
She's too much.
Wow. Convicted of first-degree murder and all that shit. Also, Jerry McCarthy's found guilty of criminal solicitation to commit homicide as well. Yeah. Here. Lau got like some probation or some shit because he's a moron and he came forward and just kind of did some probation for the gun charge. Now, Mayu here, Hardin says that he's going to get a new trial. Hardin's like, listen, I'm going to get a new trial. He says, what I said at the time, it's only because I didn't understand my rights. That's why. I don't understand rights, even though I worked for the police and all that. Didn't understand that. He said, my intention was to testify, but I was told I wasn't allowed to testify unless I could produce evidence, and that incriminated me. Next thing you know, I'm fucking in jail. This is crazy, right? You didn't have immunity and you told them shit. That's called you're an idiot and you're in jail. You fucking dummy.
Keep having trials until he's not guilty? Is that what he wants?
Yeah. It's unreal. So, the judge said, quote, I've never heard anything so silly in all my life, is what he said. It's ridiculous. But he says, I'm going to get a new trial. Everything's going to be great. I'm getting out of this. Okay. You guys can fuck off, Hardin says. Then in 1989, they go, well, you're going to have to get out of 2 because we're charging you with Span's murder as well.
Oh, suck it.
Because you did that. You did that, yeah. He's charged with homicide from that. He's already serving a life prison sentence, but they said, let's throw Earl Span's murder in there as well, get his family a little bit of justice, and they do that. Affidavit testimony from Steve Guevara's on there, saying Guevara said Hardin borrowed his pickup truck, drove to the landfill, said what he was doing, asked him to backfill the fucking thing. Tests indicate the bullets used in the slaying of Harleen Mayhew were, quote, in all probability fired from the same .24 caliber handgun as the one that killed Span.
25. Unbelievable.
25. They used the same gun. This is the same gun. And they got another one because Lau got busted with a 25, too.
Was it the 22 or was that a 25?
No, he got busted with the 25 that he got from McCarthy. And then this is the murder weapons like McCarthy's personal gun he's had since 81.
Stupid.
Oh, my God. Span had been shot in the head. Obviously here. Now, March of 1994. Okay, this is Fred's appeal. So there's a bunch of different things. We're going to focus on one or two of them here. The jury imposes the death sentence, and the jury found the aggravating circumstance of contract to kill for pay. Yes. Okay, that you need an aggravating circumstance, and they said that outweighed any mitigating circumstances. Quickly, we will go over the possible aggravators, because people have actually asked us about this a lot. Yeah. I've had a lot of tweets of what are the aggravators? What are they? And people in other countries too, especially, are wondering. So
I know a couple. There's a commission of a robbery and then a sexual assault, right? And a kidnapping.
There's 16 of them. We'll go over them very, very quickly. Brief, obviously. One, victim was a fireman, peace officer, public servant concerned in official detention. So you kill a judge of any court in the unified judicial system, attorney general of Pennsylvania, deputy attorney general, district attorney, assistant district attorney, member of the General Assembly, governor, lieutenant governor, auditor general, state treasurer, law enforcement official, local law enforcement official, federal law enforcement official, or person employed to assist or assisting any law enforcement official in the performance of his duties who is killed in the performance of his duties as a result of his official position.
Holy shit.
Obviously. 2, defendant paid or was paid by another person who had contracted to pay or to be paid by another person who had conspired to pay or be paid by another person for the killing of the victim. Anybody paying anybody is what that says. 3, victim was held by the defendant for ransom or reward or as a shield or hostage.
Okay.
4, the death of the victim occurred while defendant was engaged in the hijacking of an aircraft. That's very specific. Yeah. 5, the victim was a prosecution witness to a murder or other felony committed by the defendant and was killed for the purpose of preventing his testimony against the defendant. Number 6, defendant committed a killing while in perpetration of a felony. So that's just if you're robbing someone. Commission of the offense. 7, commission of the offense. The defendant knowingly created a grave risk to death to another person in addition to the victim of the offense. Okay. So that's collateral damage, dead people. Yeah. Number 8, the offense was committed by means of torture. Number 9, defendant has a significant history of felony convictions involving the use or threat of violence. Number 10, defendant had been convicted in another federal or state offense committed either before or at the time of the offense at issue, for which a life sentence or death sentence was impossible, or the defendant was undergoing a sentence of life imprisonment for any reason at the time of this offense. Defendant had been convicted of another murder committed either before or at the time of the offense issued, because that's, multiple people. Right. If they'd been convicted of blah, 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 convicted or was an accomplice in the killing. So at the time of the killing, the victim was or had been a non-governmental informant. So not even an official informant, just someone who was giving information. And then finally, 16, the victim was a child under 12 years of age.
Wow.
Which is good, too. So
I'm impressed with the one that they got in that is history of doing reckless things, like dangerous things. Because that could be fucking anything, right?
Well, I think it's specific, actually. Where is it? Let's see.
Number 10, I think, or 9.
Number 8, number 9, felony committed while perpetrated, blah, 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 has been convicted of another federal or state offense committed either before or at the time of the offense. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Yeah. Or there's also significant history of felony convictions involving the use or threat of violence.
That one. Yeah.
So you've grown into murder now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
called? Evolved.
Escalation.
There it
You've
is.
escalated. You've escalated. And evolving. It's evolving too. It's either one. They're both good. It's better than fucking, what did I say earlier that isn't a word? Mistooken.
Oh, James, that's
whatever it was.
Mistaked.
Mistaked. Jesus Christ. You can mistaking something can be, there's mistaking. I was mistaking.
It's not a big deal. I was
mistaken
for escalate.
Either way, they're both good.
Mistaken.
They said this is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, on the absence of aggravating factors warranting a death sentence. The court ruled that because the contract to kill Mrs. Mayhew was never carried out, the contract could not be used as an aggravator because that didn't actually work. He did it himself, leaving the case without the circumstances to justify a death sentence under Pennsylvania law. Sentence vacated, commuted to life in prison.
Fascinating.
Commuted to fucking life in prison, which is wild because if he tried, though, and then he did it himself, which to me is way worse.
Right.
Like, the person who passed off whatever and paid somebody to kill him, like, that person, it's a terrible person, I get that, but someone who could do all those things to someone they were once married to and has children with, it's the mother of your children. If you could take her, beat her skull in with a bat and be like, fucking not dead yet, this bitch, and then put her over a window and try to fucking strangle her with a metal window frame till it breaks, and then says, fuck it, throw her in the trunk, I'm going to shoot her. How's that not torture, too?
Right, yeah.
He had the gun. Yeah. He could have put her out of her misery immediately, but instead he chose to prolong her fucking pain.
Yeah, if they convict him of the other one, of the Span murder, isn't that in furtherance of, like, evolving by, like, paying to have that done, but then going and doing this himself? That's kind of escalating, right?
Well, but Hardin is an accessory, Fred's only an accessory after the fact to the Span murder.
Got it.
Hardin did the murder, then drove the body there, dumped it, did all that. Fred came later on, and Guevara was surprised that Fred knew where the body was because he was like, thanks for that over there. So he was in on it, but he wasn't. He's just part of the conspiracy rather than an actual active participant in it. He's like accessory after the fact. So it all gets very complicated. And when you're talking about the death penalty, those little weird, complicated, all that shit's, it's kind of pointless. So they're going to fight about that in court and all that. Life in prison's fine. Let him fucking sit there. Who cares? He's like 75 years old at this point, too.
Wow.
I think he's
still alive.
35. He's probably 85 if he's alive. I couldn't find a record of his death, and I couldn't find him in jail. So I don't know. He's like 80. He's in his 80s, though.
He could have been moved anywhere, too.
I think he was like 53 at the time of the murder, and that was in 86. So, I mean, we're talking 35 years ago. So he's almost 90 if he's alive.
Right. There's no way alive, right?
In prison, that's a tough life, man. So I'm not sure he'd still be alive. But either way, he is pretty fucked there.
I would
and
say
he deserves it. And that, honestly, that is one of the most batshit insane stories we've ever fucking told. It really is.
Truly. That's like loopier than the guy, than the wife leaving and going to the trailer across the street. Like this is, you can at least explain that guy got super pissed because he can see her banging.
Yeah. The only weirder backstory to me is the one with the guy who had 107 dildos, who he had like the lady who molested his kid and a convicted rapist who just got out of jail, two separate people both living in his house with his kids, and he was banging the lady who molested his kid, and he was like riding around on dirt bikes and weird shit like that. It's one of the very strange. But this one, I mean, how small town is it when you have just, don't worry about it. We know judges and stuff. You can tell. We have no fear of telling everyone we know of this murder conspiracy we're working on. Like, that's
nuts.
That's fucking crazy that goes. That's why we do small town murder, because shit like that happens. Like, we got it covered. Don't sweat it. I know the county judge. It's okay.
They go so far.
Wow, that is fucking crazy. But that is a crazy story. And if you enjoyed that story, you can tell us all about it very easily by going, get on whatever app you're listening on. I don't care what the fuck you listen on. That's up to you. That's a personal choice. What app you like better, how things are arranged. Everybody likes it. I don't like that one because it updates like this, and I don't like how they arrange it. It's great. Wherever you're listening
Find the one you're comfortable with.
Find where it says review and give us 5 goddamn stars, because it helps the show a lot, helps drive us up the charts, and it's just helpful. I don't know why. Tell your friends about it too. That's the other thing. Tell your friends. Try to spread the show. We really appreciate. We love when people tell us that. Like, I got everybody at work listening. I got all my friends listening. I got everybody at school listening. That's fucking awesome.
So
Thank
rad.
you.
Yeah.
Because honestly, no, go ahead. Sorry.
And
We're too
the show
polite,
is
Jimmie.
Still growing, and that's something that I can't, for the life of me, understand. It's unbelievable and it's beautiful, and it's because of you guys telling your friends, telling your family.
You.
I don't know, the family that you give a fuck about,
whoever you
whether
like,
or not they enjoy their day.
And we're not part of some giant conglomerate.
No.
We don't have like a bunch of other, like, if you notice, you don't see promos for us anywhere. You don't hear promos for us. We don't pay for a lot of podcasts, and this is true. They pay for ads on a bunch of people's shows. We don't do that. We don't. We go by word of mouth. That's how we grow our show.
We want it this way because it's worked the best way, and it has gotten people that like this together rather than just blasting it out to people that may or may not give a fuck about this. And when they don't, those people are so loud and annoying.
We would rather grow slower but grow with people that we want. That's worked for us to this point. We've gotten a great audience of everybody's awesome because it's people telling people that they think are like-minded of, you like a funny shit and you have a dark sense of humor.
Exactly.
You don't mind a little murder in your oatmeal, things like that. Like that's what builds the show. So thank you. We're not part of a huge conglomerate. We're not part of some giant media thing that's going to help us out. We're just us. We're just two dudes. We're two comedians doing a show, and thank you for getting us to this point. And please keep pushing because the show can never stop growing because then it'll die. So we don't want to kill it. Yeah. We're like a shark. We have to keep moving. So keep telling your friends. Yeah. Keep doing all that.
We got to eat our body weight every day.
Absolutely. Part of doing that, you can follow us on social media. Share some shit. You can follow us. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, and at Small Town Murder on Instagram. We put up all sorts of cool shit there. You can find out anything, information, shows when they're posted, and of course, live show stuff you're going to hear plenty of.
Oh, boy.
You can get that live show stuff over at shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Like Seattle is the next city we are at. We're there on a Thursday and a Friday, and then we're in Portland Saturday and Sunday. Still a few tickets left for those Seattle shows, so get those quickly before they're gone. Portland's been sold out for 2 years, both those shows, and these are in theaters too. You guys are awesome in the Pacific Northwest. So check on those in case anybody returns any. One or two might pop up. But Seattle, don't let Portland punk you. No. Don't let your neighbors from the South show that they're the better small town murder fans. You don't want to do that. Compete, goddammit. Be like, no.
The 90s is alive in Portland, James.
We will do this. Put your goddamn flannel on and get the fuck outside and go to the goddamn show, will you? So thank you for everyone that's doing that.
I'll wear flannel.
Flannel. Also, quickly, I do want to say thank you so much to everyone that came out to the Wilbur and in Brooklyn to see us as well. You guys were amazing. The people in Brooklyn, we had to switch venues because the other venue had structural damage and had to close down. Mm-hmm. So these people found, after 2 years, they held on to tickets, found the new venue, and came and were an awesome audience. And then the Wilbur, I mean, that place is magic. And
every time.
3 tiers of balcony and, main floor and 2 tiers of balcony and fucking 1,100 people shouting "Shut up and give me murder" and just being the best fucking audience in the country. So thank you for that. You guys really are great. Boston's always been amazing to us. Yep. So thank you for being so great to us always, Boston, and everywhere else too.
Start. I mean, that
from
was
the start.
Our first live shows of
we did Chicago and Boston were our first live and those are always
3
two of our
shows. Unbelievable.
Yep. And they're always great. We love Chicago, too. We love everywhere we're coming, so we're very excited. Get your tickets now. Patreon, quickly, patreon.com/crime and sports. My God, do you need to go to Patreon and check it out this week. Holy shit, it's so good. Anybody $5 and above gets access to all the episodes, the whole back catalog. There's so much good stuff on there. You get access also to both shows, Patreon episodes, Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder. This week for Crime and Sports, very interesting one. It's about counterfeiters of memorabilia.
Yeah.
Autographs and, official balls from this and all this type of shit, the home run balls of that, all these different forms of memorabilia. And everybody knows somebody who's got like signed balls up and everyone's got those people. So find out if what they have is really true or if it's full of shit, because you're going to find out very easily through this little documentary that we'll talk about and shit that we'll do here and discuss. And then for Small Town Murders episode, we have something very fun, kind of similar to the Small Town Festivals one we did last year, but even crazier because it's weird shit that goes on in small town and county fairs throughout the land. So strange and so much fun. Lots of weird shit, bands and food and things deep fried and dipped in sugar. It's going to be crazy. Check it out. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And you also are going to get a shout out. Jimmie will mispronounce your name at the end of the show while doing his best to pronounce it properly. He really will. Or you can just go to PayPal and have great karma and get your shout out. Just use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. That's also a good way to get a hold of the show if you want to. That said, Jimmie, hit me with the list of the people who would never hire everybody in 2 whole counties to try to kill us and fail and fail and fail before doing it in the most painful way possible. Jimmie, hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producers are Melissa Turner, Soylent Green is people, James. I don't know if you know that.
I am aware of that. Charles Heston said that.
Amy Spicer and her husband Doug came to Tempe. They were also in San Diego and Brea. It was terrific.
Amazing seeing them. Thanks, Ian. Nice to see you.
Jordan Bennett, she also came to San Diego. Obviously. Donna Perry is in Texas. Nick Mendoza working on his Hondas in his garage. Clay Thorson sent Stan's refund from the wig shop. I don't know if you saw it. Happy birthday, Michael Keating, I think. He takes care. His wife has Anne. She has a debilitating problem. And Michael's done an amazing job taking care of her. Thank you so much,
great.
Michael. Keep it up.
Yeah, no shit. Sorry. Hope she feels better.
I hope so also. Thomas Asbiek. I don't know. Tia Bowen, Ashton Pruitt, Terry Stanley, and truly, you guys, the bar that you guys set is super high, and I hope that we clear it. Thank you so much
honestly.
For financing
Thank
this.
you.
You're amazing. Other producers this week are Mitch Cumstain, I think, Peyton Meadows,
there we go.
Liz Vasquez, Jen Visconti, Megan Janos, Jeff Shrewsbury, James Martyr, Linda Sittler, Frank the South African Birdwasher, Iron Tree Craftworks on Etsy has a discount for Small Town Murder listeners. STM15.
Cool. Do it.
Happy Hour checking in from San Diego. Mark Hummel, Jennifer Mosier, Topher Dizzle on Discord, Rabbi Shmulovich, Hyman Roth, Swamp Queen Creations on Etsy, Tiffany. Not Timothy. Tiffany Gonzalez sold her mom's wheelchair to donate here today.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you, Tim.
She's comfy on the couch. Don't worry about it.
Peter and Alicia Stone got more T-bowls than B-holes, and we're welcome to stay with them.
Boom.
Tim Tasler in Berlin, Michael Carboni in Colorado, Ashley Taylor, Jeremy Bethune, Samantha Quigley, Janice Hill, Destiny McMahon, Mike Pagliuca, right? It's Pagliuca.
I don't know what it looks like. It's in front of you.
Store manager Rachel Walters.
Your laptop's facing me.
Farah Designs, they made the manufacturer of, they are the manufacturer of the Dextard CIS studio football.
Oh, beautiful. That was great.
That's a nice one. Bryce Law, happy birthday, Vanessa Hancock. Jill in Delco, Pennsylvania. Christy McCurry. Christy McCurry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Zakarewski, Peyton Meadows. I said that. Carl Kirshner, St. Hugo the Strange, Ben Theiser. I don't know. Damian Garrison, Joshua Guidry, Madison Hamilton, Brent Jensen, or Eric Ortiz, Will Judkins, Lori Shockley, Michelle Petrie, Sean Minogue, I think that's Kylie's brother.
Obviously.
Lisa Dengler, Stabby McGee, Johnny Cole, Ty with no last name, Abel with no last name, Steve Cooey, Eldon Villa, Freya Raja, Danny Crawford, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, Ben Levinsky, Taylor Venice. The Bishop, Cashmore with no last name, Josh Reza Teretz, Damian Tornat, Michael Geedy, Ryan Cook, Maisie Brendan, Catherine Robinson, Jacob Waters, Joe Bosley, Blossett, no last name, Allison, no last name, Ryan, no last name, The Pollinator, Heather Long, Sadie with no last name, Brittany Brucker, Drowsy with no last name, Claudia Racy, Wilhelmine Linden, I think, Wilhelmine, Tammy Coxline, Alice Daly, Brent Trotter, Reese Calvert, Alan Tasker, Sage Pearsall, Red Annie 53, Kaylee with no last name, Candy Pledger, Max Amphibious Lack, Caitlin Bacon, Michael Vargo, Melissa Reese, Alia, what the fuck? Cassim, Caitlin Graney, Ariel Lobel, Anthony Hamas, Jeremy Blackburn, Ben and Melissa McRae, Steve Skates, Amanda Tesla, Ben Gretton, Jesus, Nick Peterson, Anthony Simmons.
Trying hard there.
I'm doing my
You're working, Jimmy.
Very best.
You are.
Ben Bryant, Wyatt Beeson, Brandon Dismukes, Amber Jones, Becky Ann, Nora Mankato, Lindsay Backus, Annette Kemp, Amanda Smith, Savannah Davenport, Nick Strasburg, Patio Furniture, Misty McLaughlin, Lauren Garcia, Thomas Childress, PDX Me, Jenny with no last name, Melissa Graham, Julie H, J Puinoffkit. What? I don't know what you're trying to say there.
Something.
Terry.
Thank you.
Terry Douglas, Michael Harrison, Cuz Yum, Custom Cakes in Jacksonville, Florida. Austin Gale, Shanna Savage, Martin Morgan, Ashley Columby, Jillian Welcher, Zed 315. Khadija Hawkins, Austin with no last name, Phil White, Rachel Diaz, Tara with no last name, Alex Shearback, Jason Middlebrook, Sue Heischel, Owen Van Der Werf. It's 3 words. So I didn't like it. April Braun, Cynthia Bruder, A. Dixon, Tina McCown, Casey the Mick, Steve with no last name, Samantha Bollard, Lori Bade, Hunter Chappelle, Taylor Azumane, Jess Neuermeyer, nope, Caitlin Smiley, Josephine with no last name, Tay with no last name, Kathy Rowland, Sarah Estrella, Aaron Andrew Dubin, Alex LeBlanc, Paul Felix, Abby Menke, Amy Tedder Bennett, Rebecca Gagnon, Vance Kessler, Jared Brum, Cassandra Jackson, Sam Sanchez, Brenna Donahue, Carson Bennett, Isaiah Buckley, Josie, nope, that's Jesse Romero, Jerry I. Diggles, I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what that is.
Something, Diggles. I like that. It's got to mean something.
Rochelle Nibb, Elizabeth Washington, Sherry with no last name, Kelder Bradford, Luis Lando Verdi, Laura DeForge, Lauren Minor, Damian Ormond, Claire Holland, Dominic with no last name, Therese Hagman, Eric I, Steve Guerrero, Latasha Lawson, Sarah with no last name, Andrea Seigel, Rowan Dunphy, Brittany Paytow, Caitlin with no last name, Roger Thorne, Asher Griffith, Liz Connect, Tim Lovett, Gisela Fuentes, Matt Waddle, Heather Chacon, Dizzy O'Rourke, Stacy Mills, Richard Brown, Sherry Benchwick, Brandon Rupert, Keegan Schlitter, okay,
yeah,
Paige with no last name, Pete Garrity, Patrick Bouchain, Carrie Ann O'Connor, Sky Webster, Leah King, Kara Outs, Joseph Klobukowski, Gracie Mills, Gabe Viek, Phil Schwartz, Ben Ryan, Ben Robinson, Dylan Kinitsky, fuck it, Rusty Hurd,
tried hard there, Jimmy.
Sarah Hamada,
you wanted it.
Kelsey B, Mason with no last name, Erica Dabowski, John Hobbs, Jay Merriman, and all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much for everything you do.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for always coming through for us and always being amazing for us. Every fucking dime is so appreciated, and just the fact that you would give a shit about us enough to actually go to a website and put something in and care enough to give us money. Never mind actually giving us the money, but just the gesture of we're lazy.
Going out of your way.
To go out of your way to not just be like, I'm sure other people are doing it. You know, like you're actually do it. So thank you. You're the doers. You're the real people. You're what this whole world runs on. We can't thank you enough for that. What if someone wanted to say something nice to you? How could they do it, Jimmy?
I'm on the internet. Look it up. You can Google this goddamn show and find both of us, right, James?
Do that. Google that. Google Small Town Murder, and we're there. Go to shutupandgivememurder.com. You can even see pictures of us and follow us, and all that shit's on social media. Oh, boy, we can't wait for all this. Can't wait for live shows upcoming. Very excited. What else I can't wait for is to come back next week. You know what I mean? And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.